Hey, good morning, Roger.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah,
Just the three of us right now?
it, we'll go through this in no time flat.
Yeah. We're doing elements 4, right?
We are doing seller appointments. Yes, elements 4.
Okay.
I'm just going to practice a little on my screen share here.
Okay.
Make sure I got it right.
You probably just want to remind them to, are we going to do script practice with them? Put them in rooms by themselves?
I don't know. I don't know how to do that. So we'll see if anybody shows up,
Okay.
probably. What are you guys seeing for screen share?
I see your page. Yep.
Zoom?
Yep. Ignite.
Can you see? Oh, you can see like this whole, what we'll focus on?
Yep. We're going to
Gotcha.
focus on make seller listing presentation.
Yep.
Yeah.
So skills to spark a great career, right?
Yep.
All right, good. Just want to make sure I'm on it, right?
On task, as they say.
Yeah, as they say. So we're seeing people kind of coming on in. So who do you have with you? Do you have,
Amy's supposed to be coming. And then I
Okay.
saw somebody, I thought I saw her name on the email that I got the other day, Janet.
yeah, I don't know what that was. I don't know if that was just
Just the misfire.
Yeah, I'm going to just stop this for a minute so we can chat.
Oh, Amy.
So I don't know. Yeah, I saw that as well. All right, so
See if we can get Amy on the phone.
yeah.
How's your week going?
Very good. I was on vacation last week, so I'm really playing catch up.
Oh, really? Okay.
Maybe I'll shut this thing too. How's everybody else doing?
Little gang so far.
so
7
good.
people.
Yeah, 7 people. Is everybody watching the launch and everyone's going to come on at 9:15?
Watching the what?
There's that launch. What's his name? Bezos is going out of Texas this morning at 9 o'clock.
Oh, is he? Is he actually flying out? Is he going up?
He and his brother and some older woman who was a astronaut back in the day, but never got up in space, and a young kid who's 18.
Really?
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see.
Well, hopefully they all come back alive.
Yeah, let 18 seconds or 4 minutes or something rather.
Is that that's how long they're going up there for?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just happen to. It's pretty
like
exciting, I guess, for people. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a lot of money to go up for about 15 seconds. Blink and you'll be back down.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully we have a good crew. I have not, I did, we did setting goals that matter, before. So we had a pretty good crew. How's everybody doing this morning? Good morning, Arthur.
Good morning.
Good morning. So where's everybody from? Oh, I'm going to change my name.
Text Amy Perry.
And are we recording? I think I need to record it. I don't know. I'll try to do I'm going to change my name to me, and I would recommend you guys do the same. Oops. Okay. Just so we know where everyone's from, that can be helpful. And I'm going to give it a minute or two. We don't want to, people that are on time should get top service. So we've got Nina, Elizabeth, Nick, Nipa. Good morning, Courtney. Trevor.
Morning.
How's everybody doing? We don't have Brooke. We don't have Brooke, so we're all a mess, but we're gonna be okay.
Yeah, where's Brooke with her crazy energy?
I know. Where's the music?
She usually gets us all fired up.
Absolutely. Oh, well. So what is live? I'm going to see if I can't figure out how to go live on Facebook, live on Workplace by Facebook, live on YouTube, live on Facebook. Let's see where I land. Did that do anything?
It's recording.
Uh-oh. I think no, I don't have the login for the, them for the, but we are recording though, right? All right, how's everybody doing this morning? Everybody ready to learn sellers appointments?
Yes.
All right, good. So, you know, has everybody been attending Ignite, or are we enjoying the class? Give me some ahas. What do we got? We've had some great things happen this past 2 weeks.
You're showing us the path to success.
Nice, I like
Right.
that. Path to success. Anybody else? What do we got?
It all starts with our database, right?
Yeah, we'll never, ever stop bugging you guys about database, data bank, also known as. All right, let's let people just get in and we'll just get underway. Let me just do a little bit of this right now. Hold on a sec. Uh-oh. Yeah, so let me introduce myself. I want to welcome everybody to, what do we have here? We're in Elements, Section 4, Seller Appointments. And, you know, this is really where the bread and butter is, of course. My name is Deb Hayes. I'm the productivity coach here at Keller Williams in Westford, Mass, also known as Powerhouse Properties. So we're very excited about that. I've been in real estate for about 25 plus years and, you know, always absolutely loved it. Came to Keller Williams about 7 years ago and have been productivity coach and running the department for about 3. And we're getting the hang of it. And it's been an interesting ride and really excited to be here. I think Ignite is a very, very important piece of the puzzle in getting you started on a really good base of what you're supposed to do. You know, some people just run in a little too fast and then they're never organized, and that creates you know, sort of a rough road ahead. So I hope everyone is sort of really leaning into this and getting where they need to be. Roger, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, previously before this, I owned and operated a restaurant in my local hometown. Been selling real estate since 05. So I've seen the cycle of the peak of 05, 6, 7, and 8, and then the slide down from 8 to about 2012, 2013. And here we are on a slide up. So I've been doing it for just over 16 years now. And, you know, productivity coach at Keller Williams Elite in Plainville, Market Center 868. And just looking forward to moving forward here, getting you guys started. Keeping in mind, we know that you don't know what you don't know. So please feel free to ask any questions, even if it's kind of outside the scope of what we're talking today. If you're stuck on something, or if you have some sort of limiting belief that you're afraid to make phone calls and stuff, just embrace it. I mean, everybody has that anxiety or apprehension to making a call, and we think we're bothering people, but sometimes it's just restructuring the way you think about things. So
Absolutely.
having said that, anybody out there who's feeling a little overwhelmed at this point? Anybody?
Sometimes.
Oh,
Yeah. Tell us more about that. What do you mean?
Well, you know, when you're in class, you know, you're hearing it all gets in, you feel pumped. It all makes sense. You take it in so much, then all of a sudden you're like, okay, now I got to put this all to practice. And it's like, you know, there's a lot, you know, like reading the books and stuff like that. You're reading them, it all makes sense. You're like, okay, I got this. I'm going to put this to practice, and then reality hits.
Right. Well,
Right.
and the key word there is practice that you're mentioning, and that's what the script practicing is all about. And what I've found is a lot of people will read a script. Oh my God, I don't sound like that, or I wouldn't say that. And they really get stuck right there. So, I mean, you can practice the script as it's written there to get an understanding, and then pull the key points out, and however your learning is, or whatever, you know, however you need to put it into your own words, then get it into your own words. But practice this as it's written, understand it, internalize it. And then I've taught people to take note cards and take that script and break it down into 5 sections or 3 sections, whatever you need to do to kind of make it incrementally smaller. And then you practice the pieces. And as you practice a piece, master a piece, you don't have to re-practice that because you've got it memorized. It's internalized. So one step at a time. You'll probably take this course, and I would suggest you'll I mean, I take it and I learn a little bit more. I get a little bit better because I'm hearing it, I'm seeing it, and I'm actually doing it. So
Yeah.
don't be afraid to admit that you don't know what you're doing, and just come back into it for the next session. Come back to
Yep.
another session next time we run it, even if it's one that you might feel you're weak at. You don't have to do the whole thing from start to finish, but specific modules, so to speak, that you might have missed out or just want to brush up on.
Right, right. Well, that's the beauty of Ignite. And those of us who've been around, you always are in learning curve. You're always in learning mode when and we're in a very learning-based environment here at Keller Williams in general. So, you're always improving, you're always tightening up your skills. We can't emphasize enough on the scripts as well, because we all know what knowing our words does. It helps us listen at a higher level. And that's really, really what real estate is about: listening to your sellers, listening to your buyers, listening to your co-brokes. Listening to your lenders. If you're too busy trying to figure out what you're going to say, you will definitely miss some things. So let's just get comfortable with being a little uncomfortable. And before you know it, it'll just be very much within you to, kind of do it. So let me see if I can get anybody else need to share, want to share a little bit?
I have a question.
Sure.
Obviously, 20% of the agents get 80% of the business. But the business isn't growing because of the way the market is today. There's just not enough properties on the market. So the Pareto curve is not growing. And so newbies are kind of coming in without much there for us to work on. That's, I was just looking at the math.
So would you consider that a limiting belief? Or, I mean, if you come right out of the block admitting to yourself that there's not enough business out there for everybody, would that be considered a limiting belief? Or?
Yeah, I guess it is. I'm in Maine.
Yeah.
We have over 500 KW agents in Portland, in the Portland area.
Right.
So Portland's not that big. Hello.
Sure.
And I just see the limiting number of properties to introduce buyers to, and a lot of buyers have been priced out. Our market has increased so dramatically in the last year, as many markets have.
Yeah.
So I just see, we're not expanding the pie. The pie's not getting bigger.
Okay.
Can I say something real
ahead.
quick?
Sure.
So David, I also work in Portland. And so I can't speak on any of the other places. But I also apologize you can't really see my face because of the window behind me. But I started in November and I'm already on my 8th closing.
Right.
I have 3 under contract right now. And honestly, for me, the standard ways, you're absolutely right. They haven't been it's been hard to put myself in there, but Facebook, your main connection and finding those places, it pops up and it happens. You've just got to be tuned into it. And I wasn't saying those things to brag or anything like that, but it's you just kind of have to find what you're naturally good at. And I'm a millennial, so I'm really good at scrolling, and it's just, kind of how I've fallen into it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to congratulate you on how successful you've been.
Right.
Number one.
Thanks.
And number two, I'm coming back in after being out for 2 years because of an illness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm coming back in the first of the month, I hope. But
Yeah.
I wanted to go through the whole night program. I did night 1.0, and this is so much better.
Really? Good. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Going back to Roger's comment, I do think we get in our own heads sometimes. and that cannot not always be a good place. You know,
Be a scary place.
it is, it can be scary in there. So I think a better approach is, you know, I don't care how big the pie is, I'm getting a piece, you know, and that's what you do. You know, you just keep working, and sometimes you have to have a little blind faith that says, you know what, I'm learning, I know what I'm doing, I'm a grown-up, I can get out there and talk to people, and before you know it, it's mathematical. The more people you talk to, the more likely you will get business. We can
So-
have, you know, would you agree, Roger? Little math, it's all math.
So yeah, and think of it this way too. And we're going to get into it a little bit as far as the percentages of how folks or sellers find their
Yeah.
agents and things of that nature. And it will be true, consistent with how buyers find their agents as well.
Mhm.
The big chunk of that pie, most people want to work with somebody they know. Most people are getting their referrals from friends, family, and things of that nature through their Facebook sphere. If you're not on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram and things like that nature, you got to get on there because that's where people are. You know,
Mhm.
you got to learn how to communicate to them in the style that they're communicating in today's time.
Yeah.
As a millennial, the millennials know better than all of us that, hey, text message, instant message on social media. That's how they communicate. To them, that's normal. You know, to, you know, the older population, so to speak, and I throw myself in there. To me, that's awkward, but that's the way they're doing it. You know, they're not picking up their phones. Half of them don't even use their phones for a phone. They use it more for texting, Facebook scrolling, as Courtney mentioned, and things of that. So you got to reinvent some of the methodology that you might have been using, but they're out there and they want to work with you. They just need to know that you're in the business. And if
Exactly.
you don't let them know, they're not going to go calling you and saying, hey, I heard you got your license.
No.
It's up to you to reach out to them and let them know you've got your license. By the way, instead of working with a complete stranger, wouldn't it be best to work with somebody you know, love, and trust, and is going to look out for your best interest? You know,
Can I just want to introduce myself. I'm Janet Porcaro. I'm sorry I was a little late on the call.
Okay.
that's the Janet we were looking for, Deb.
I
Okay, good deal.
apologize, guys, but I'm here. I'm ready to go. And
Thank you, Janet.
I just want to let you know that I'm an active agent, but my production was down with COVID and I had a loss, and I'm back in it now. And remember the bold law, don't judge your insides by other people's outsides. I think that's something that agents should have plastered on their walls, because we tend to look around and see what everyone else is doing instead of, you know, looking at our own plan. And massive action. So, I mean, I sent out a newsletter. Now I'm going to call through people who clicked on the newsletter. But that's what's so great about KW. Whatever your plan is, you can follow it and you can make it happen. And don't be thinking about what other people are doing, you know, and anything is possible in this business, right?
It's just the
Can I
old
ask a
way.
question?
Yeah.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
I know saying don't ask what other people are doing or whatever, but and I understand that, but it is nice to hear what other people are doing that is successful, because I mean, as an agent, I'd like to hear what other people are doing so that I can find which of those avenues best fits me.
Yep.
So in listening to, I think it was Courtney. Courtney, are you the one that said I'm on my phone, so it's hard for me. I actually I just came home. Whatever. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm babbling. But Courtney, was it you that said you already had 8 transactions?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if it's okay, can Courtney share with us how she went about that? Because that's, good for you. That is excellent. Congratulations. And I'd like to be inspired by that, because right now I'm like kind of in a rut.
All right, let's
So-
hear it, Courtney. What are your best practices?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have an amazing team. I'm on Lifestyle Properties at Keller Williams in Portland, and There's another woman on here who's also a part of my team, and you know, our team kicks butt. We have a couple of really heavy hitters who've really paved the way for us, and you know, it's really just like showing up like it's a 9 to 5, and which was hard because the reason I wanted to get involved was because it wasn't a 9 to 5, because I have a 6-year-old and I was single mom in it for a while. But I mean, it's like committing to making 30 calls a day, having 10 interactions a week, nailing one appointment, or you know, having one person commit to working with me per week. It's a grind, and I was in the military, so I'm not afraid to be yelled at picking up the phone. You know, I got my butt handed to me on the phone. I've been cussed out. I've been, you know, degraded, and just picking up the phone and saying, hey, do you want to buy real estate? And sometimes when I was in the beginning, like, I literally would say just that, like, hey, have you ever thought about buying or selling your house? And obviously, if you own a home, like, that's not going to be received well, but it's just a learning curve, and it's just kind of like getting past it. But
Mhm.
it really is just a numbers game, and it's like every Cash Wiseman, who's a really successful agent in Portland, he said that it's like every 32 calls it takes him on average to get one. And that's a lot. That's a whole day's worth of calling for me. And, you know, so it's the lead gen.
So Courtney, expand a little bit upon that. You mentioned that you made 30 calls a day and made 10 contacts a week. Am I understanding that correctly? So you're dialing the phone and not necessarily getting through to somebody on the first. Expand upon that, because I think a lot of
Yeah.
people get caught up in the fact that if they make a dial, that's a contact, and they get discouraged right there if they make 3, 4, or 5 of those in a row and nobody picks up.
Yeah, no, it's picking up the phone and dialing 30 numbers per day, or 2 hours. I think I designated 2 hours of lead gen time per day. And if you look at my schedule, it's right now, you know, 9 to 12 ignite, and then 12:30 to 2:30 is lead gen, and then 2:30 to 4 is follow up and contracts, and then after 4 is showings, or picking up my son, or you know, whatever. So it's very designated. But yeah, so it's 30 phone calls a day, and then like 10 contacts, having a conversation with somebody
Mhm.
per week. So
So if you did that 5 days a week, that's 150 dials a week to get 10 two-way contacts.
yes, and my two-way contacts are only 10, and it's kind of low, but I'm the type of person where if I'm exceeding my expectations, I do more. But if I get discouraged easily, so I have to set that part low. So
Right. I think that is it's all coming right down, Courtney, to your good old fashioned time blocking, setting time aside to do your education. And I'm sure after Ignite is over, you'll probably move that lead gen to 9 to 12 or
yes,
8 to whatever you're going to do. That is a perfect example of what you need to do to get business. And however, go ahead.
So Courtney, are these cold calls? Are you using like a cold call list, or how are you
yeah.
going?
So
Okay.
my team gave me a couple hundred chime leads, and those are I couldn't explain really what they are. They're just people who have clicked on links in the past. So they're chime leads as well as circle prospecting. So anytime one of the selling or listing agents on my team, anytime they have a listing, I ask for a list that populates phone numbers. I think it's like Vulcan or something like that. It populates phone numbers. They'll give me 500 phone numbers off of, one listing. And then I just call around like, hey, did you see this listing? Yeah, it's under contract in 3 days and it's going for 20,000 above asking. Or if I can't say that, then I don't, but I'd say something about the listing.
Mhm.
Okay, so they're not totally cold then.
I
Is that right?
guess, in my opinion, I don't know, my semi-professional opinion, I think that's a cold call.
No, I was just curious this came from somebody clicking. So in some way, shape or form, they're, I don't know, something piqued their interest.
For
Correct.
the chime leads, yes, but for the circle
Oh.
prospecting, no. That's like when one of my teammates has a
Okay.
listing. Yeah. And then with those conversations, I'm not necessarily asking, I'm just saying, did you see the listing? And I'm making a conversation.
Right.
Okay,
So-
great.
So that's a great way to start. There's a couple of things that you can do, and then we'll, sort of move to the program. You could certainly, that circle prospecting, you can do with any listing and any listing anywhere. If you see a listing that comes up on a street in your town or whatever it is you call, you can market that. You can call and let people know that. You can certainly let your sphere know that. You can do campaigns. I don't know if you guys have delved into that piece where you can pull a listing and do a campaign and you can get leads that way. So there's a lot of different strategies, but the bottom line is you've got to be working every day 9 to 5.
Yes.
And there's another thing Dave was speaking to it in the beginning. He was kind of saying we were in class and we're learning. No, it wasn't Dave. I think I forget who it was. We're very excited. We've got all these ideas, and then I think people can hit a wall a little bit. So I would suggest, and this is with any class, if you're going to mega camp, wherever you go, whatever you're doing, when you're in a learning environment, you want to have 3 options with every note that you take. And it's called ACT. It's ACT. If you learn something, you decide when you write a note on it, I'm going to do this. You decide, am I going to act on this? Do I need coaching on it, or do I need training on it? And then at the end of the day, just pull out your A's and do those. So you're not trying to do 50 million things at once. Most top producers only do 3 or 4 things really well. Would you agree, Roger? Anybody have any comment? They're not doing a million things. They're doing 3 or 4 things at a high level. Courtney seems to be running through her Facebook and scrolling and circles. She's getting things from her team. Those of you who are not on a team, you find your niche and go for it. Even if it's just hanging out at the coffee shop, opening that laptop and just working. And talking to people, but you've got to put it in your calendar and make sure you're getting it done. So and anybody want to move to seller appointments? Let's talk about getting some listings. Everybody ready for that? That's your bread and butter. This is where you shine. And like Roger had said, people want to work with people they know. They're never ever, well, I shouldn't say never, but in general, people want to work with somebody that they know has worked with in the past, or that they certainly know. The fact that you might be a newer agent is the best thing ever, because you have all day long to work with this one client, as opposed to a super seasoned agent that has 20 clients that they have to sort of balance. So what we're going to work on today, we're going to talk about seller appointments. And do we got a screen share going here? Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Ignite, just okay. So let's get going here. So we're going to focus on today. We're going to grow our business here for sure. We're going to work on making seller listing presentations and getting listings. We want to make sure that when we get that call, we're at the donut, we're getting at the store, we're out and about, we're at a cookout, we're somewhere, and somebody says to me, I really think I might want to sell. You need to be ready to get over there and make sure you have what you need to get yourself in front of someone, because that is like gold here, right? So we're going to work on that. Do you all have some sort of a basic listing presentation that you have within your market center? Does everybody have something like that? How is everybody doing in terms of listing presentations?
Does anybody use one out of Designs, which is really quite wonderful?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exactly what we're going to focus on today. You do have a very simple system within Command that has a very basic listing presentation, and you want a basic one at your hands in your system at all times. I would talk to your, regional tech, your market center tech person to help you just whip up a nice basic listing presentation and a buyer's presentation. You don't need to create the wheel. They have people who know how to do designing these things. So take what we have, use that, and later on you can focus on really branding it. So today we're going to think a little bit about what sellers want, right? So we're going to work on this for a little bit. We're going to look at what sellers say they want and how that affects your conversation with them. We're going to look at the listing appointment and the ongoing conversations. We're going to talk about how to prepare yourself and your future seller to get the most out of a listing. We're going to cover a little bit of a listing presentation and what it should achieve and how. And we're going to talk about what you should do in your listing appointment to establish yourself as a local market expert and gather the information you need to market and sell their home. After today, you should really understand the expectations for a successful listing appointment and how and know where to find the resources to get started. And, I think we kind of know that a little bit. So let's just see how sellers found their agents. So this is a little chart, pie chart here, and it talks a little bit about what National Association of Realtors is saying. I have no idea what the date is on that, but as you can see, it says sellers either knew their listing agent or were referred to a listing agent by a friend, neighbor, or relative. So let's look at this number here. We've got 39% referred. This is 2019, so it'll be interesting to see what 2020 numbers come out as, It's basically saying 39% were referred by a friend, neighbor, or relative. 27% used the agent recently or previously. Personal contact by an agent. And then you've got the web and visiting open houses and other. A lot of other in there, 22 other. That's quite high, I think. So kind of interesting. So, so we've learned that your business is your database, and this really coincides with it. The more you're connecting and nurturing with your database, the more likely that you're going to be in that 39%. It doesn't matter about the market. It doesn't matter what market we're in. Yes, we're in this funny niche market where it's just really weird and odd and the inventory is quite low. But if you're the one talking to the person, more people, So what does this data tell you about the importance of building relationships to get listings? What is this data saying to you?
Work your sphere.
Yeah.
Well, what I see is that over half is going to be just because somebody knows you.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, like these calls are important to make, like the cold calls and everything, but just looking at that graph, it's pretty obvious that you need to be in contact with your friends and family the most.
Yeah. Yep. That certainly goes without saying. Would it surprise you to learn that 75% of sellers only contact one agent before selecting, and that 15% only talk to two? What are your thoughts on that?
My immediate thought is that it's interesting that people are investing so much money without interviewing and shopping around.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And why do you think that is?
I think it's just because the general public they don't know a lot about it, and they see us as a professional and they say, okay, professional. They know we have some kind of standards. They know we're like a step, they know that we're not equal to car salesmen for the most part. So I'm assuming they just see us as the professional and they're just like, okay, here we go.
Well, I think it's two things. The 39% and the 27% is, yes, this whole referred by a friend, neighbor, or relative, or use the agent previously, that is huge. Because if you're going to buy, I mean, we all do it. Hey, I want to put a deck on. Do you know somebody? or I need tires. Where'd you get, people will trust their friends and family and relatives and people within their circle. And my experience is the higher level of experience a person has in the business world, the more highly likely, they're only going to use somebody that they got a referral from. So how important, so this, the 75% of the sellers will only contact one agent. It's likely because they either knew the person or they were referred to by somebody they super duper trust. So so how important is it that you make your first impression with the seller? How important is that very first impression as well?
It's also that people are very busy and they don't want to interview 9 people to decide. So they meet with someone. If they make a connection, they're like, well, this is good enough. I like this guy, this girl, woman, man, whoever. I feel a connection with them. We could keep going through this, but why not go with them?
Right. There's a heavy weight on that referral piece in your first impression and how you come off right in the beginning too, because if you've been referred to somebody, you might just be in. So you want to make sure that we're doing that. So let's figure out here what sellers want. So, what does a good first impression look like? All right, here's another chart. So we've got, let's see, what's our biggest one? 21. Help. What do sellers really, really want? That besides being professional, friendly, and likable, sellers have specific objections that they want to know you can help them achieve. 21% want help marketing their home. 20% want to make sure it sells in a certain time frame. 19% want help pricing competitively. 16 want advice on improvements to improve their sale price. We'll see if that's still. And 13 want help finding a buyer. Only 11% state that they want help with the paperwork and inspections, negotiation, etc. So just because they don't say at the beginning that they want your help with paperwork and negotiation doesn't mean that they don't want it, because they're going to need it. Remember, 27% of sellers use their realtor previously, so they have a good fiduciary relationship with that agent. The total value you bring to the transaction is what will get you repeat business. These things are what are important in that very first impression. What is everybody's thoughts on that?
I'm impressed with its, 21%, 20%, 19%, they're all about the same. And I expect, 1% difference, 2% difference, that's just static. And so all these, well over 50% are in the same boat.
Yep. They just want you to market the home, get it done in the time frame they want, and get it priced competitively. And then there are those that do need a little help with fixing up and all that good stuff, but not in this market. Really, you can practically have a junk car in the living room, and you'll still have 10 offers on the thing. But again, this is just today. This market will change, so you really need to understand this whole big picture. So what do you know about the process of converting a lead to a listing? What tools have you learned as going through here about converting leads into listings? Anything yet on this previous Ignite? Have you touched base on that? Seems like you might have had a little bit on finding seller leads and so forth.
It's go face-to-face meeting or a Zoom meeting if they don't want to do face-to-face, but that's key.
So when you have a lead that has expressed interest in selling their home, there's a few steps you want to take to convert the lead into a listing. Some of these steps are optional based on your personal style and how motivated the seller is to let you list their home. But in general, you should really follow, sort of the following steps. Right? You're going to have your pre-listing questionnaire. Has anybody worked on a pre-listing questionnaire within their own business? Janet, do you have a question or you're just raising your hand?
I'm just telling you that I have a pre-listing questionnaire.
Okay, awesome.
It's
Yeah,
important to ask questions so you understand what the seller wants.
and you know what what's the second part of asking questions? We talked about it right at the beginning.
Listening.
Right, that was a trick question. So we want to ask potential sellers the pre-questionnaire questions to determine their expectations, motivation, and how soon they want to sell. It's the old who, what, when, where, and why. Same kind of thing you have with buyers. We really need to know exactly where they're at. If you don't have a good sense before you get to their home, then, you know, you really don't, you want to, and this is great for scripting, is to really understand how to ask these questions. Some people fumble a little bit on that. So make sure you get yourself within your market center a really good pre-listing questionnaire. So you want to schedule the listing appointment here. We want to, you know, after you understand how motivated the seller is, set the listing appointment. You know, close that appointment. You can make 30, you can do all the phone calls all day long, but you need to make sure you're having appointments. That and we've seen charts previously in Ignite, the level of performance is greatly increased with a face-to-face appointment. You know, we've got a lot of chitty chatting back and forth and all of that, but the minute you make an appointment, you're the scale really shifts. So let's make sure we do that. Make sure the end of your thing is always, what's a good time to get together? You know, practice those words. What's a good time to get together? We need to, let's put together a little strategy session and see how we want to move forward. No pressure, but let's talk, right? And
And
yes.
I just want to add that I've been guilty of the dial. And when I get someone who actually is ready to sell, I'm like so shocked, I forget to make the appointment. So I think you have to remember that. And as far as people having limiting beliefs, this is why you need to believe that the business will come to you.
Yeah. And absolutely, just really get that into your, you never leave the dentist without them asking you for another appointment. You never leave the hair place without, hey, you want to make your next appointment. You know, this is what you do as a business person. Remember, you are business people, and this is what business people do. So let's make sure we schedule any kind of consultation. I love the word strategy session. People really sort of gravitate to that word. You know, it just sounds like we're in it together and we're gonna put together a plan. The next thing you can do, and some people like this and use it at a very, very high level, it's called send a pre-listing package. You can send it by email, mail, have it delivered. The pre-listing package is to set the seller's expectations of the process or have a conversation to set expectations. So a lot of people really like that pre-listing package. You basically, it's really a little bit about you. It's a little bit your marketing about you and what the process is going to be, because when you get to their home, it shouldn't be about you, it should be about them. So, and there's several classes out there, and I'm sure there'll be one at Mega Camp on that pre-listing package. Some people get very cutesy about it and make a little basket and, you know, with cookies and that kind of thing, have a little information on what the process is, some of the cost, and then your marketing pieces, and then have somebody deliver it and say, here you go. I know you have an appointment tomorrow with Deb. You're going to love her. You know, you don't deliver this. Somebody else does that. So, you know, look into that. That could be a thing. It could be one of your 3 things that you really do at a super high level. And then, of course, we're going to create our listing presentation. The listing presentation, of course, is a more detailed about your plans to sell their particular listing that you can use during the appointment to get the listing. So we kind of, you have a little bit of a balance there. You have your market analysis, and you also have that listing presentation, which is really almost together. And then we're going to walk through the home. At the listing appointment, we're going to walk through the house and possibly present the listing presentation and secure the listing. I wouldn't say possibly. I would say you're going to get there, you're going to preview the home, and you're going to have your market analysis done. Any questions on that? So far, we've been rambling. I've been rambling. Who has questions at this time? I don't know if I can't see the chat. I don't know if anybody's popping in there.
I have a question.
Yes.
The CMA, you can't really do it before you've toured the home. I mean, you know, is it in good shape? Is it in bad shape? You know, you have
What's
no
everybody's
idea about-
thoughts on that? Let's have a little quick mastermind on that. Market analysis. What does everybody think? Let's
You
have
can do
some,
comparables on the, from the MLS in the area, just to kind of get basics. You don't have to get specific about it, but
Yep.
you can get stuff that's in that range, in that area. So you kind of have a ballpark of where you want to say to them, you know, this is what it presents to them, that you can say, this is what's going on in your area for your type of house.
okay, Brenda, I love that. Perfect. Bring some anybody else? I'd like to have some other, who else has some thoughts on that? We're talking about seller appointments. Who else has some thoughts on that in reference to David's comment, which is a very, very, very valid one for sure. Any other thoughts? Throw your hands up. Let's see what you got.
Deb, you want to, I know I've spoken before. You want me to chime in?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. We want this to be interactive. It's not just
Right.
babbling on, which I can do, no problem.
Okay, so I usually want to walk the home before I present the full presentation. I may bring a few comps, but usually it's just that walkthrough is a face-to-face connection where I can ask questions, walk the house very quickly, and kind of find out what they think the house is worth if I can. And then once I walk the house and see the condition and see the pluses and the minuses, then I can put pencil to paper and start with the CMA. I come back with a price recommendation. However, I always want to emphasize that you don't hire an agent based on price. You hire the agent based on service.
I like that statement. Any other thoughts on that? Thank you. That's important. I love that. You don't hire your agent on price, you hire it on value, which is really interesting because we're going to move into that value proposition. What do you think, Roger? You've been around. How do you handle that? Your first listing appointment, your seller appointment. Oh, whoops, you're on mute, huh? We got it. There we go.
You got me there. All right. So there's a couple strategies to going on a listing appointment. Some people do it in a two-step process. Some people will do it in a one-step process. And obviously, if you do it in that one-step process, you certainly are going in with a market analysis prior to seeing the house. But you can gather some intel over the phone in the first conversation, the interview with the seller, asking them, hey, tell me a little about your house. And again, this goes to those open-ended questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. What have you done to your home since you purchased it? What updates are there that I wouldn't know about unless I have seen the house? How old's the roof? You can literally go through that whole questionnaire right there on the phone to gather as much information as you can. And then certainly to the point that when you walk into the house for the first time, you're going to take a walk through and then make a final assessment. And I use the words average, above average, or below average. So if I go in with a range based on square footage, bathrooms, amenities, bedrooms, how home style, 2-car garage, and I gather 3 or 4 comps in that area, and I've probably done at least at a minimum of drive-by, right? So you can certainly do a drive-by before even going to the appointment, and you should, right? You've got an idea of where that house is going to fall. And then when you go in and look around at the home and see the condition, maybe some colors are a little off and things of that nature, that'll be part of your staging recommendations. Give them that range. And before you even go there, ask them, So what are you thinking your home's worth? Make no mistake about it. They're on Zillow. So check the Zestimeter there and see what Zillow's suggesting it might be worth.
Yeah,
You know, if Zillow can do it, you can do it. And again, you're going to go in and make an adjustment as you walk into the house and walk through the house for the first time. Say my range was between 4 and 445. And I walk in and I find out the house is real tired. I might be saying, well, you might want to stay down on that low side of this range around that 399 range and price there and use that strategy. Having said that, if the latter is true, meaning the house is in pristine condition, I get in there and I'm saying, you know, you guys can probably start here up in the upper part of the range here and price here and see what the market says after we get it out there on the market. So you certainly can go in with an idea, and you should go in with an idea, and you should always ask them what their expectation, what are they thinking?
right.
They don't know. And if they, that's why I'm calling you. Well, let me ask you this. What have your neighbors told you? What, you know, just give me a ballpark number. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do my own assessment, but I just want to know where your head's at. So if they're up in the stratosphere with price, then you know when you go in, that's going to be an objection. It's going to be a pricing objection, and you got to educate and inform them and bring them down into reality.
Right, right. I agree. I think that's a very, very good sort of plan of attack. Nina, you have a question.
Sorry,
Or-
I didn't realize I was on mute. So do you have that listing questionnaire, like which you mentioned the listing questionnaire?
Mhm.
Where would I find that?
So let's see, you've got
your
everything
toolkit.
in, go ahead, Roger.
Yeah. So in your toolkits,
Yeah.
they're right there. Elements toolkit, and then you got Sparks toolkits. Go ahead and print those out, and all that questionnaires, pre-listing, and all that stuff they're in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're
Absolutely.
common sense questions. They're not, there's no real big secret. It's what would you think you would be asking too, you know, but
Yeah.
you can certainly go
No,
ahead.
but
and-
it's nice to have it as a checklist is great.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep, right in your toolkits.
Right. You need your checklist for the first one or two, and then before you know it, you just kind of, going for it. I'm a big believer in knowing if you're worth your salt, you know how much that house is before you get there. Relatively speaking, we have the MLS system at our hands, unless they've owned it for 100 years, which we certainly do have people that do. You can go in and look when they bought it. You know, if they bought it 2 years ago, let's say, you should have a little bit of a sense of where they're at. And I agree with Raj. You ask a lot of questions at that pre-listing questionnaire. That you're a professional. They're going to be, you don't say, okay, I'll swing over. You say, let's get a little information before I go. I'm starting your file. People are used to that kind of thing. And let's get some information. I'll bring some preliminary, numbers with me, and we can make a decision together. We can make that's what we call the strategy session. Let's look over all of the comps and let the seller almost self-discover where they need to be as well. And they always have, Joe down the street got $100,000 more, and you will have that comp in there. So you can say, well, this person has a gorgeous kitchen with, Carrera marble, and, you've got, laminate. So I'm a big believer in you get that appointment, and the goal is to walk out of there with a listing. Don't be afraid of that. You can always have you can always have a listing with your price to be determined, a hard number, as we go forward, and then you make a battlefield decision the day you're going to go live. So again, the more you do it, and I'm going to recommend to everybody in the group, do 3 listing presentations on somebody's house, your friend, your mother, your neighbor, somebody from, call it whatever, just say, hey, I'm new to real, it's a fantastic call. Hey, I'm new to real estate, as you guys know, and I have to, I have a homework assignment. I have to do a market evaluation on 3 properties. Do you mind if I do yours? And then do it. And I really think that is worth all the money in the world to really pull it out and say, and ask those, okay, how long have you owned the property? Where are you going? What, and your friend will do some fake thing. Yeah, we're going to move, and, and then really do the full exercise so that you know how much their house is worth. And it gets over that sort of nervousness of it. And in this also, every step that you take here will increase your value proposition to the seller and brings them closer to signing with you. You know, we're going to look briefly at the listing presentation in the Sparks, working with sellers, and then we're going to deep dive into the appointment. Does that make sense to people? Does anybody think that's like a kind of a good idea?
Yep.
You know, has anybody done that? Let's put it that way. Has anybody done a practice evaluation on their own home or one of their friends? David, you have? You're on mute.
Yeah. Prior to being ill, I've done CMAs.
Yep.
On our own property and our friends' properties.
Yep. Has anyone else done that?
Well, recently, to drum up some business, I called around and did some CMAs for some past clients.
Yep.
And cloud CMAs, and it was really, really good practice, get my head in the game and also become familiar with what's happening in the
Yep.
market.
And you're down in Plain. Where are you, Janet?
I'm in Newton, Massachusetts.
So you're in Mass. So you're
Yeah.
a cloud CMA. I love the cloud CMA because I like the live version. So that when I go to the home, I can show them live, not printed on a PDF, even though I do bring it. So you can really show that kitchen down the street with the Carrera marble, as opposed to sitting in their kitchen. So, you know,
And I noticed that I did one for, I have a listing coming on, and I gave her the live cloud, and she looks at that all the time. So it really helps me with the pricing because she's seeing what's happening. I can go in and edit it when I see something sold. So I agree.
and I would very strongly recommend, and I'm sure all of your market centers, there's a productive, somebody there knows how to do a really slick market analysis. And it doesn't even have to be slick. It just has to be accurate. So let's make sure we have that tool in our tool belt and we're getting it done. So any other thoughts on that?
So Deb, I have a suggestion too as well. If you want to practice doing market analysis, take homes that are actually out there active right now, do your own market analysis on that property. And then when it closes, compare your notes.
That's a good idea. That's an absolutely good idea. Practice, practice, practice. It's part of work. No matter what kind of job you're going to do, you have to practice. So let's talk about our pre-listing goals. So before the listing appointment, you'll do far more listening than talking. You can't meet a seller's needs until you know them, and you can't know them if you don't listen. That's, show that you are attentive and interested in their needs by giving them plenty of space to let you tell their story, let them tell their story. So in Sparks, and I hope you guys are all in there, we talked about identifying A, B, and C sellers, right? Who can tell me what it means to be a C seller? Anybody remember that? Who remembers what a C seller is? When was that, class? Probably 8.
Those Sparks 3
Somebody
or 4 or something.
Somebody
Who
who
knows?
isn't,
Go
somebody
ahead.
was planning to sell their house but isn't ready yet, probably
Correct.
a year in the future.
Yeah, a seller who is able, ready, and willing to do business, but not for at least 60 days out. Who knows what a B is?
That's about 30 days out, 14.
Yeah, about 15, well, a little bit further, that 15, 20 to 60, that middle range. We're going to do something, but we've got some things to do. We're not quite ready. We're waiting for school to get over, but we're moving. And of course, who knows what an A is?
They want to put it on the market at the end of the week.
Sweet, that's the best. That is, that's why it's important to have your thoughts and your ability to do market analysis quickly for those A people. Hey, we're going to move. All of a sudden, we're just ready to rock and roll. We found a house, we're going. Let's go. And you need to be ready. A seller, sellers have been thinking about selling their home for a bit, so they have expectations about pricing and timeline that they want you to meet. Their expectations might be reasonable or they might not be, but the first step is discovering their motivation and time frame as well. So, Ian, you can adjust their expectations once you know what they are. You can say, look, I know you, or guess what? Your house is gonna sell really fast. You know, if they, you know, so it really, that's where you come in, that's your value, you know? So we want to, you know, this is what we're gonna do in our pre-listing goals. We're gonna tell the sellers what we bring to the table. We're gonna build confidence and answer questions, and we're gonna save time. Let's get some objections done right up front, so we know what we're doing, right? You know, what is value? You know, what is your value that you bring? Let's talk about value just really quickly. Why won't my thing move? Oops. Whoops, hold on. Oop, I got crazy here. So state your value. Your value is what you're going to provide as their list agent. Remember, the sellers have specific goals that they want to achieve, and this is the first step in discovering their goals and telling them how you will help them achieve it. You know, pre-selling, it builds sellers' confidence and answers questions in advance of the presentation. Sellers use an agent because they want advice and expertise. Otherwise, they just do it for sale by owner. So they need you, right? And obviously we want to save time to make sure that we're really talking through everything that they need. What's the biggest questions what are the biggest questions anyone about to sell their home will ask you? What is the most thing you think people ask about?
Price.
How much is it worth?
The price of the home. What is the value of the home? What else do they want to know?
Your experience.
Okay, they want to know a little bit about us. Yeah.
Time
Not as
frame.
much as you think, by the way, guys. Go ahead.
Time frame.
Yeah, how long it's going to take. What else?
What's happening on the market?
Yeah.
Based on the thing you showed a little while ago, what they can do to improve their chances of it selling quickly or getting a higher price.
Right.
Also, how much it's going to cost them.
Yep, that's the big one. That's often right up there. You know, these are the things that we really, really need to figure out, you know. So you always want to be very prepared for these questions. And that's why it's important to practice your CM, you know, yes, like Roger says, you want to do your CMA so you know exactly what, you know, exactly pretty much what the price is going to be, and then you'll make a decision when you get in there. And then you want to make sure that because we're gonna have some objections here. And what do they say? How long is it going to take to sell my house? What do you say? Who's had that question lately?
I think you need to know your market stats.
Mm-hmm.
If you fall on your market stats, you're not just giving them your opinion.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to commit to anything, but you can tell them, you know, based on the last X weeks, months, whatever, the average time is XYZ. Right now, it's about 6 days where I am.
To offer.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think it's important to know those stats. And obviously, once you're in your MLS system, it's all right there. You know, all of that data is right there. And also you want to make sure that the folks that you're dealing with, you need to determine what kind of information they want. What type of individuals are they? Are they data people and they want to see a lot of numbers? Or do numbers just fly past their head and they just want to get to the end and what's the price and when can we put the sign up? So, you know, again, you have to, all of this is part of your, you know, your sort of your pre-listing goals and get your, you know, package organized here. So what other questions do we have? And then we'll move forward. And then I think we probably should maybe take a break in a little bit. What do you guys think in a little bit? Because we're going to start moving toward this pre-listing package and the listing presentation itself. Any thoughts?
Do something around 10:30. That's about a half hour from now.
All right, yeah, let's work on this. You know, and then we'll take a little break about 10:30. We'll come back and then we'll finish up. So So we're kind of looking at this pre-listing package, and how does the pre-listing package help you have a smooth listing appointment? What do you think why do you think it's important? How does it affect your listing presentation?
Makes you look like you're prepared and you know what you're talking about.
Yep,
Professionalism.
yep, yep.
It also makes things go a little bit smoother because they've been already preempted.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts?
It establishes your credibility. It gives you an opportunity to talk about your company a little bit.
Mhm. Because when you're at their home, they want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about their home. They want to know about you a little bit, but they really don't care as much about you as you think they do. They really, they've hopefully been referred, you by somebody, or you know them, and you're gonna really talk about their home. So the pre-listing package sets the stage for you to present the listing presentation, which contains much more specific information about the potential seller's home. The listing presentation contains your plan to market the home, comps to help them understand your pricing strategy, and all the other information you need to show the seller that you can help them achieve their goals, really. The pre-listing packet contains information about selling a house generally so that they're ready to understand and accept your plan for their home. You're going to have a plan. You've talked to agents in the office, do these houses sell in 6 days? When are you going to do your photography? When are you going to go live? When's your open house? Are you doing it Saturday or Sunday or both? That's your whole marketing piece, and you need to make sure that they're, where you're getting into that piece for sure. So this thing here called the Guide to Selling Your Home. So this is the pre-listing package. Like everything else, it's located in the toolkit. Okay. And I don't have that with me here. Okay. So do you guys have your participant guide? Anybody have that pre-listing package on page 6 of the participant guide? I don't have it. I might be able to find it here.
I can find it, but give me a minute.
Yeah, okay, because basically we just want to, it's some of those questions in there, of what you're going to ask people, So let's see. So everybody make sure you get your seller's guide to selling your home, okay? and print those. Go ahead.
Did someone put the pre-listing questionnaire in the chat box?
Okay.
And it's how did you hear about me? Where are you moving? What's motivating you to move there? How soon do you have to be there? Is that what you're looking for?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
If we sell your home in the next 30 days, will that pose a problem for you? If yes, what would the problem be? What would happen if your home did not sell? How much do you want to list your home for? How much do you owe on the property?
Oh, yeah.
We'll be sending you a packet of information. Will you take a few minutes to review it before we meet?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions before we meet? Will all the decision makers be there when we meet? Very important.
Right. So how do those questions help you get better? Any thoughts? What about that question about will all the decision makers be there? How can we be sure that who we're talking to is a decision maker? Anybody raise their hand?
Look at the public records.
Public records, yeah. What's the best, even better way?
Get the deed.
You gotcha. Pull that deed and be aware if, yes, you want to pull the deed, make sure you're dealing with the homeowner, because we've all been there where we got a call and we think we're doing a CMA and it's really a tenant, or it's an ex somebody or other, or it's somebody that is being really nice and getting a price on grandma's house and grandma doesn't know this is happening. So let's make sure that we're dealing with the seller of the property. Would you agree with that, Roger?
I do. And sometimes there are people that aren't on the deed that might be involved. Say you're dealing with a you know, a younger person, and they're going to rely on their parents for advice and things of that nature.
Yeah,
You know, it's not always necessarily just the person on the deed, but obviously you have to be, and you have to have both parties, say it's a husband and wife,
yeah,
or a partnership of some sort.
absolutely.
You
Yeah,
gotta have that other party there to make the decision. Otherwise, you just wasted your time.
absolutely, absolutely. And the old, oh no, that person's gonna be at work today, can you come over? Don't, and you have to leave by 4. You know, you have to be careful and listen to, you know, what's going on. And as much as we can teach, you do have to have some of your natural instincts, and your little radar has to come up. And, or if you pull the deed and it, you know, it has, you know, the purchase was in 1972, and you're talking to somebody who was born in 2000, you know, you have to figure out that you're not dealing with the seller, even though the names may be the same. So these are just some of those little caveats that we've learned over the years because, you know, everybody's been there. So just, you know, it's just always a very good practice to make sure that we're dealing, in fact, with the seller. Just simple, you know. Yes, you can absolutely pull the public records off of MLS. You can go to the field card from the town, and but just always be very, very confident and comfortable with pulling deeds and knowing how to find them, making sure you're looking at the most recent one. And never hurts to read a deed. It does give you coordinates of the lot, and it doesn't necessarily speak to the house as much as the actual lot, and it will. What else might you find on the deed? And I just, out of curiosity, for those who've been around a little bit, what else do you find on the deed that could be very important?
Well, if there's any liens.
Yep. Well, that's not going to be on the deed. What are you going to see on the deed?
Oh, yeah.
Easements.
Easements.
Hmm.
Yep. There could be, you know, just regular easements, you know, from the town, so they can go on and fix pipes or whatever. But sometimes there's easements that sellers do not know about. So let's make sure we do our due diligence on behalf of our sellers and make sure that, you know, if there's a, you know, a easement going right through their front yard out to the back. And again, people don't always know that. And not everybody knows where their lot lines are and all that. It's just a good practice, and it brings your level of value up and your level of knowledge. If you go into your property in your listing appointment, you have a copy of their deed on there. That's something you should always have. Any other thoughts on that? Now we're going to move to listing presentation. So we're really all about homework here. It's about really, really being 100%, 150% prepared to walk in that property and be the one that they're going to want to deal with. Because like somebody said, people are busy and they just want to know that they've made a good, solid decision. The better you come prepared, the more likely you're going to walk out with a piece of business.
Right. And Deb, if you can demonstrate your competence, that's what they're really looking for. They're looking for that reassurance that
Yep.
you're capable, competent, and willing. And the best thing in the world is people are lazy. They don't want to go through this with somebody else.
No.
You can fulfill all their needs in one conversation or a couple of conversations. Just ask, take the listing, move forward.
Yep. Because
Deb,
yes.
I just put the toolkit in the chat box.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Janet.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is where the bread and butter is, guys. This is where you shine. This is where you make your money. Listings are the way to go. You list to exist because you don't have to drive them around. They're there. You list it, and you've got 1,000 or whatever it is real estate people in your state that can sell it for you. And with this market, this is the way to fly. So if you do anything else ever for the rest of, make sure you're focusing on getting listings. Buyers are awesome for sure, but make sure that you're talking to as many people as you can, and you're always, because if you're in real estate for 5 minutes, people always want to ask you. You're not going to go anywhere after a while without people constantly asking you about real estate, right? For those of us who've been around. And when people say, how's the market? What's going on? Don't forget to say, oh, it's really busy. Why do you ask? Are you thinking of making a move? And sometimes they say, oh, I'm just nosy. Or they'll say, you know, yeah, we're kind of thinking about something. May not be for 3 years, which is awesome because now you've got a nice pipeline piece in 3 years. Or they might say, yeah, we're trying to figure out what we're going to do. And then now you say, well, look I know we're at the cookout here, but I'm gonna call you later and let's put together a little plan. I can help you out, no pressure. So learn how to recognize, always be a little bit on radar on what people are saying. Because everybody wants to talk, 9-year-olds can talk about real estate. They just know, they have little friends that move. And so it's a very important piece right now for people. It's a super important topic, and don't let it go by you when you think it's just normal chit chat. Go a little one or two deep and ask, why do you ask? So let's move along here to the listing presentation piece. And we talked about this. The purpose of the listing presentation is to get the seller to list with you. You achieve that by doing these 3 things. We've sort of talked about it a little bit. You're going to create a great impression to build the seller's confidence in you as their real estate agent of choice. You're going to share your price recommendation, the initial price for the property and their reasoning behind it. Explain how you believe the price is designed to get their home sold in the shortest amount of time for the most possible money. And then obviously we want to set expectations for how you will market the home and work with the sellers. Getting the listing is one piece, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff after that, as we know. So just like the pre-listing package, you don't have to figure this out for yourself. There are 2 really nice design templates you can use in Designs in Command. You've looked at the listing presentation before, so now you really want to take the time and do it. Has anybody gone into Command and found these listing presentations? Let's hear. Oh, Trevor, you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question on question number 6 on the pre-listing questionnaire.
Yeah.
Is that a question you're asking in this hot market, or does that turn them off to think that you're not confident that you can sell their home even in a hot market?
Repeat the question for me, Trevor. I can't see it on my screen.
The question is, what would happen if your home did not sell?
Yeah, that's kind of well, again, this is guidelines. You want to use your instincts on this, but that could come up, that question. If we've gone in and said the price is $450 and they want $600,
Right.
you can go, okay, yeah, that's awesome. We're going to go for it at $600. What are you going to do if the house doesn't sell?
Deb, that question is sniffing out a pricing objection.
Right.
Yeah.
It's in when you're asking these questions, if you think of this strategically,
Yeah.
you're asking that preemptively to find out if there's a potential price objection, because then you know what to go in with respects to when you're at your listing presentation, and you're going to practice that listing objection, that pricing objection script there, because that's going to come up. Same with if somebody mentions up in the beginning, oh, hey, by the way, how much do you guys charge? Oh, we can discuss that at the listing presentation, as opposed to trying to handle it right there.
Right.
Oh yeah, we can discuss that. I'll be prepared. And we'll discuss that at the listing presentation. Fair enough. And then they go, okay, cool. So now if they're asking that up front in that pre-conversation prior to the listing, same with that question, Trevor, you're sniffing out and trying to discover what potential objections are coming your way.
Absolutely,
sense to you?
because, does that answer that for you, Trevor?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very good point. And this all goes to, it's a little bit of understanding people's,
Cat and mouse game.
it's a little bit of poker, and I don't mean it in a bad way. We're not trying to be sneaky. We're trying to learn as much as we can about our clients. People are concerned about commission, yes, because they think it's $1 million and they don't think we're worth it and all of that. But a lot of it is really truly because there's some financial concerns for these folks. And it's not all about, I don't want to pay you. I mean, there's a lot of that, but so, these particular questions can really, everything that is designed within everything in Ignite and all of the scripts and everything is to move everything forward, and the more you learn and the more you're comfortable with all of it, the better you're going to do, and the faster you're going to get to where you want to be. Don't take forever practicing everything. Get out there, just get up and do it, you know, and make it happen. Any other questions on that list that might spring a little funny to people?
So another thought too around that as well is you're really digging down to make sure you understand their motivation.
Mhm.
And if you think about those questions, think about what the answers are eliciting. They're finding out why they want to move.
Mhm.
What is it about moving? You know, what apprehensions might they have? I mean, if you think of all those questions when you're asking them from a perspective of curiosity, you're digging deeper to get to the depth of what their motivation is. Because ultimately, if they're not motivated, they're not likely to reduce their price. They're thinking about it just because of the money, and that shouldn't be their only motivation to sell their houses, although it's a huge factor.
Mhm.
We want to know that they're moving because they want to get closer to their grandkids if they're an older couple.
Mhm.
We wanna if
You
they
know,
move because it's a job change.
it's also another way to put it is it's about caring for your potential client, because this is a huge thing. They're selling probably their biggest asset, and they have a lot of emotional connections.
Right.
So, and this is why they call it a toolkit. You may not ask all those questions, but there's only so many objections, and you want to know what you're going to say if those objections come up, so you don't babble. Like I babble when I'm nervous, but having the scripts in my mind, I know what I'm going to say. I stay calm and I can continue listening actively.
Right. And that level of anxiety comes down when you have an understanding of what you'll say.
Yeah.
Those nerves get lowered.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's but don't get stressed. You guys will be fine. And most everybody is really actually pretty nice, and you get a few turkeys, but really, most people are pretty nice, and they just really want you to help them out, and the better you are at it, the better you'll be. And it's really all about just finding your confidence. I'm just going through my thing here because they're kind of looking at trying to find the next piece is going through that listing presentation. And how do you want it? I'll go to Janet and Rod. Well, first of all, why don't we take a break, and then we'll come back, and we really want to kind of go through the listing presentation, and that way I can find it on command, and I'll do a little screen share, and then we're going to move forward. So everybody cool with taking about a 10-minute break and coming back a little bit before 10:30?
Yeah, 10 minutes from now will be about 10:25.
10:25. Everybody take a break, go use the restroom, have some water, refresh a little bit, and then come back and we'll start looking at that listing presentation, see what it looks like in combination with your CMA. So let's do that, and I'll see you all in about 10 minutes, guys. I'm going to find this listing presentation. All right, guys, we'll see you in a bit.
I'll stay right here, Deb, if anybody has any questions.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. Appreciate
I'm
it.
here also, Deb, if you need help with the command part.
Yeah, I just want to pull up it according to the presentation where we should be going through a listing presentation, which, I just want to get it over in command.
Right.
So I want to find that probably over in designs here.
It's in designs.
All right, let's see where I'm going. Unless you want to screen now, let me just
Sure,
see.
it's up to you. I'm happy to do it, and I'll just follow your lead, whatever
Yeah.
you say.
Yeah, if you want to screen share, I don't know. I'm going to get confused. Let me see.
It's up to you. I'm happy to do it. You have to do create design, and then you go to print.
All right, I'm just thinking I might have one kicking around that I have done, but that'll be branded to me. So maybe I don't want to do that. All right, let me go into designs. And let me move you guys, create a design. Yeah, let's just get a plain one because I think it's more important to see a plain one.
Yeah.
All right, so let me minimize. Beep. So I want to go to print.
Yep.
Continue.
Yep.
I got to get a water myself. It's really hot in my office.
Go get a water. Go take your break.
All right, and I'll leave this, and this is up and running, and then I'll just plop. We'll kind of go through that, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Anything you need, you let me know. I'm here.
All right, thanks a bunch. All right.
Okay.
So let's see what we want here. We want listings. All right, where's my thing? I'm gonna stop screen share for a minute and go beep. Oops. Hey, guys. All right, Janet, are you guys here? Can you hear me? Hello? Well, I can't hear you. That's not good.
I'm here.
Oh, good. Thank you. I
Yeah.
got nervous. What did I do? I broke something.
You didn't do
All right.
anything.
So
We're good.
Janet, can you share your a listing presentation? Could you get one
Sure.
going? Because I went in
Absolutely.
and they're changing a server here. So I don't know. I'm just nervous about
Okay.
getting in. I hope we don't lose me. We may, because they're working on something.
Okay.
So let me see. I think you can screen share. So guys, what we're on here is we're talking about the listing presentation. And in Command, there are two. There is sort of a plain one and there's sort of a fancy, this is several. So I would take the time, put it in your calendar for a little 45 minutes after class, while you're having lunch, go in and get yourself, and Janet, maybe you can walk us through just real quick how to get there.
Sure. Are you seeing my screen now?
No, can you guys
Okay.
see her screen?
I am.
Okay.
All right,
Hold
cool.
on. You can't see it though?
I can see it. KW.
I can see it.
Yes,
says
we can see it.
KW, it's
Okay,
loading.
good.
So maybe
So-
start from, remember, they need to start right from the beginning at home screen.
Okay, okay.
Why don't, if you don't mind going back to that and just walk them through, guys, just take some quick notes how to get there. And my warning is all right, so you can see she's gonna start at the home screen, which is the mothership of Command, where you always want to land every day. So you're looking at your task and you're looking at new designs and you're doing your job. So she's gonna slide over to the left and go down to designs. Right? Or I'll let you walk through it.
Sure.
So
Okay.
we're in designs.
And now I'm gonna go all the way over and choose create design. And I want a print. And continue. These are ones I've worked on already. Once you create them, they automatically go to your little home page.
All right.
And then we have all these different modes. I'm gonna just take this classic, if that's okay.
And you found that over in listings on the left, or do they
Yes.
all populate like this?
No, you can go down and pick and it opens up.
Okay,
So I didn't mean to jump ahead yet. If you click on listings, it drops down. And then there we have listing presentation
yeah,
in red, because that's where I am.
yeah,
So if you're brand new, yours is going to be blank because you won't have done anything yet.
right. See, hers is populated because she's done a bunch. So you go to listing presentation and then you pick one. And I like the one with the people sitting at the kitchen table. So
Okay.
go for that one.
Okay.
It uses less ink than the black one.
Yeah, I don't like the black.
It looks nice if
Myself.
you have really, really nice paper. That black looks really sharp. So let's do a quick one here.
Yeah, so here you have all the pages and you can add any pages you want. So I'm gonna take the cover.
Yeah, you just click the plus, okay?
Yeah, and there's my cover. And then there's an instructions page, which I'm gonna bypass, but you
Yeah.
can read that on your own. And then this is the kind of the personal page for your clients. So you have placeholders and you can zoom in and out on this to make it easier to see. And you can I just go ahead and double click and put in my names.
Now, if you want one that is not personalized to a specific listing, you can just remove that.
Absolutely.
Because you might just want five of them printed out that are just really nice looking, that are just really about you kind of. And then, but of course you're gonna need your logo and your photo. So you wanna do a little editing and then save this as your sort of what I would call the generic basic plain old listing presentation. And if you're not super techie and not into all of this, find your market center tech person, and I'm sure they could whip you up a little plain one that you could have. Remember, we want to be lead generating, getting new business, talking to people. We don't want to spend a lot of time in design unless that's really your thing. But go on, Janet. I just wanted to let them know you
yeah.
can completely make this very, very generic, which might be okay for now.
Yeah, I agree. And I personally would start with a couple of simple pieces just to get used to the platform. It's new and it's easy, but it does have a little bit of a learning curve.
Yeah.
So just want to talk about the logo part.
Yeah.
If you see here, DBA name, I want to insert my logo. So I go over to the left, click on logos, and then I go down and I find my DBA logo and I just drag it over and drop it, and it fits right in real easy, really nicely. Now, let's say I don't want this page because I want a boilerplate that I can use and have 5 printed off, like Deb said. If I click on pages, this panel opens up. And so I can then select this page, and I'm just going to hit the delete key. Oh, no, I can't hit the delete key. See, if I made it look too simple, you'd be suspicious, right? To delete the page, I have to click on these 3 little dots and choose delete. And then that page is gone.
Mm.
Okay, now where am I? Now I want to go back to my template, and here I am. So I have this page I'm going to add. It looks like something got messed up around here, but if that's the case, I'm just going to go up and make this a little bigger there. Okay.
But you want to keep that cover page with the lady with the little girl and mark and put your stuff in there, right?
Yeah, and I lost that page, and I'm not sure. Oh, there it is.
There you
go. Okay, so I can just add that in. Thank you.
And you can move that into first position, right? Okay, good.
Exactly. Thank you.
Nice.
Yes. Okay, so now I'm going to move down.
Yeah.
And this is the property. Again, you don't necessarily have to have that in there. If you want to have a boilerplate presentation, I'm just going to leave it for now. What I do is I usually do my CMA in cloud and print that separate from the listing presentation. So I don't put property information in here.
Right. So bottom line, you can continue to scroll down and it says some more information, right?
Yes.
All right. So what Janet is saying, this has the opportunity of pulling in a lot of stuff from MLS, but it's a little labor intensive. It's easier to do a separate CMA and just have that as part of your presentation. But this is some of the, like this one, your needs come first, is a really nice piece. So again, play around with this, get help from your tech person at the office and then put this together. Here's the process that can be edited. Open that up a little bigger there on the process, because as you see, again, this is a generic thing out of Texas. They do things, one way, and we may do things a different way. Sign listing agreement, prepare your property for the sale. You can edit this. You might say, I'll order my photographer, and you can edit this. So work on this, all of this, and make something that really speaks to what you're going to do. But basically, you've got some great templates to use, so you can continue there. This is a general overview. And then you've got the app.
You just got to make sure that you read it carefully to make sure you don't hand out something that says head to app X, 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 X,
Yeah, make
X.
sure you look at each thing, because these are meant to be personalized. So you want to personalize it, but you don't want it too personalized that you can't just use it generically. So I don't know how many pages are in the full one here, but you kind of pick and choose how you want your thing to go. You know, you may have a client who doesn't want to see a bunch of stuff. They just want to, let's get to the chase.
I personally find that making the presentation helps me in presenting my listing presentation.
Mhm.
But you don't want to be spending your day on the computer, right?
Right.
You know, I've heard too of agents, they sit side by side and do it together. And then
Mhm.
they can practice their presentations with each other.
Right. So I don't know how many total pages there are, but we're going to recommend, how many pages do you think would be a nice generic sort of presentation? Any thoughts on that? How big do you want this thing to be?
Well, my opinion is you've got to practice talking through it. You don't want it to be too long.
Yeah. You don't want the kids climbing up on the cabinet, swinging off the doors while you're trying to do your presentation. That's the time to recognize that it's too long.
Nina
So,
has her hand up.
okay, Nina, what you got?
So I'm sorry, I came a little late. Where is this presentation?
So from home, you want me to go through it again?
Yeah, do a quick one just again, because it
Sure.
is never hurts to look at this little piece again. Go to
Okay.
home.
Okay, so I'm here at home. I come into command, and your screen may look different because you can customize the screen.
Mhm.
And then I went down to designs. And I've been working on this a lot, so I have a lot of designs here, but notice right here is the one I just was working on. But let's say you're just starting brand new, and you need to go to create design, click on print, click on continue. And then over here, you have your categories. It comes up to listing because this is where I was last. But if you don't get there, you go to listings and then go to listing presentation. And then I'll take a different one here just so you can see that the content is really the same. It just has a different graphics. So then I go ahead and start adding my pages.
All right, can you
And-
pause right there for a second?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was attempting to do one of these one day. Now, when you get to that and it says listing presentation template, what are you supposed to write in there?
This, you can either not use it or you could say listing presentation.
You
Okay.
could say your home's value, what we do
Or-
for you.
Or home sellers toolkit, you know.
Personalize it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're trying to determine here if you want to do one that's personalized to a particular property, then you can put the property name in, you can pop in a picture, or do you just want a generic one that you have that you just always take with you and you just have?
Personalize it to yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, the problem is you don't want to be spending time, like you have an appointment tomorrow and you're gearing up and you want to do a great job. You want to have this all set and ready to go so that you don't have to make yourself stressed. You know, you want to go in there feeling prepared. So again, here's the DBA logo. So I can go to my logos and I can add my DBA logo. I can also add my picture. So if I go to my images, I have my assets. These are ones that I've uploaded. So I can take my picture here and add it in there. So I'm there instead of that other agent. Very easy to add images. You can take them from Facebook or from Dropbox or upload them from your computer. And there are also a ton of boilerplate pictures that you can use, which is very cool. Is that helpful? So like if you want to put a house, a different house than this, so it's like more New England, you could, I'm just going to take this for an example and drop it right there. Very, very easy. Just make sure you do a good job proofing, maybe get a second person to proof for you so that you can add your name.
All right, so how does everybody feel about this? Is this something they feel like they can either do themselves or sort of have, or find a little partner at the office or talk to their tech person to try to get a good handle on this? What is everyone's thoughts? Let's have some feedback on this.
This stuff looks pretty easy. I actually, there is one, I can look it up on my computer. I forget, one of the emails they sent it out, and basically it was a listing presentation. All I did was change like a couple of the photos, you know, my information, it was already all done. It had nice little blurbs that were already in there. So there might be some on here that you barely, like this one, you barely even have to change it, so.
Yeah, so again, did you get that from your market center, Anthony?
I think it was from the, I don't know. I'm trying to remember. And there was a list. No, you know what it is? Okay. On consumer, on command, you know how it has like your website, agent site, landing page, guide builder. Those two guides are super easy to, you know, literally it's just a header and footer you change, and it's basically pretty boilerplate stuff. And it looks pretty good. Check
That's
the,
I think that's the guide that gets sent out if you have them using the app.
Yeah, yeah.
But Anthony, to your point, some market centers have a listing packet all set up for the agents that you can just use. It depends on your market center.
Are all of you guys in some kind of a coaching program? Yeah, so talk to your coach. See if they can't put together something for you. We don't want you guys to be computer designers. We want you to be real estate agents out talking to the public and getting business. So, you know, let's talk to your coach, talk to your TLs. Let's make sure that if this is, some people love this. Some, you know, my daughter could whip this thing together in 10 seconds. It would take me hours, and I don't want to be doing this. I want to be out talking to clients. I want to be getting new business, and I want a nice little tool belt in my desk, wherever it is, so I can just go out the door. I can put together a CMA and get out the door. So let's make sure that we do this, because what happens is you go and have your meeting, you have to be prepared sometimes for some objections, and then we're going to talk about that a little bit as we move forward in the program. Any questions so far? What are you guys' thoughts?
Looks good.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim. I was doing that coach thing of just asking a question and waiting to see who makes brings up the answer. So yeah, I mean, I thank you so much, Janet. That's really, really helpful. Again, get your logo in there, you know, get your photos in there, make it look like you, and just hit the road. You know, later, you know, you can make it all slick and super personalized to people. But once you have the basic one, only a couple of pages need to be personalized to that particular property. So let's make sure we get that done. That's your second homework assignment, get a nice listing presentation at the ready in command for whenever you need one. And again, talk to your coach, see if they can just get you one and send it to you. You know, usually a market center tech person can do it much quicker than even explaining it to you. So, and they probably have your photo and all your info. Roger, do you have some thoughts on that?
I do.
Go ahead.
This stuff is mind numbing to me.
Yep.
Some people it will be. So just use leverage in your mindset there. So I just pay I have an assistant, but I have her do that stuff for me.
Yep.
And if there's a person who's tech savvy in your market center, solicit them, you know, hey, could you help me out? Would you mind doing it for me? And just pay them to do it.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm
might
telling
take
you,
somebody who knows what they do in an hour to 2 hours, maybe.
oh my God. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's too Dunkin' Donut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of people just do them for you, but
Yeah.
yeah, let's make sure we're using our strengths, but it's all in here. So let's just make sure that we have our tool belt ready, because in half the time, people won't even look at the thing. Okay, so don't get too crazy about it. Let's make a nice, simple, easy to use thing that you can just kind of go through and go for it, because they're going to have some questions. We're going to start talking a little bit about presenting the listing presentation in your CMA. Now, I think we've talked a little bit, definitely within your market center, go to creating a CMA class. You know, if there isn't one, ask somebody to do one. You want to make sure that you can really fairly quickly evaluate how much a house should be worth, and then have your nice little presentation, get in your car and drive over to the people's houses. And what else do you want to bring with you? One
Your
last thing.
confidence.
What
Your
else?
confidence.
Confidence. What else? What else do you want in that little bag of yours? CMA, listing presentation, what else?
Listing packet.
Listing agreement.
Agency disclosure agreement.
Paperwork,
Yeah.
sign here. Here's a pen. Sign. Do you guys do non-MLS listing forms?
That's something we do in Mass.
Yep. Do you, I don't know who else, what other states, New Hampshire, Maine, do you guys do non-MLS forms? Well, we use them in Mass and we love them. That's
Can you
that little-
explain?
Yeah, a non-MLS form is the timeline between your meeting and the go live date. So you have a contract with people from July 20th to whatever, September 20th, but you also have a non-MLS agreement for that same timeline, so that from now, because very few people are ready to put a sign out. We need photography, we need seller's disclosures filled out. You know, we've got a little painting to do, you know, there's at the very least a week or two out. That's a good thing to be able to say, look at, let's just do our non-MLS right now. Let's get our contract signed. You're in control of the timeline. We're going to go live when you're ready. Because part of MLS in Massachusetts anyways, if you have a listing contract signed July 20th, you need to be live by the 21st. It has to go live in 24 hours. This allows the buyer, the seller to have some time to get things done. It protects you contractually. So if the painter comes to paint the deck and tries to buy the house, you're already in contract with them. So talk to your team leaders and your MC, you know, your people at your market center about that. The reason I bring it up, it helps to establish signing document, but they have control of when things are going to happen. Some people are worried, they signed a listing contract and they're afraid things are going to spin out of control. So it's a nice tool to enable people to just go, you know what? We're going to do what you want to do. We're going to go live whenever you're ready. Anybody have any thoughts on that? Okay. Yeah, so again, it's all about making the seller feel comfortable. You're confident in your presentation, you're confident in your price range, you're confident in the plan. Part of the plan is not railroading them. They're in the team, we're doing this all together. Okay, and that's all of it. I'm going to spearhead, I'm running the show, I know what I'm doing, but you're a part of all of the decision making here. So let's talk about that. Let's talk a little bit, I'm going to do a little screen share here, see if I can do that correctly. Any questions thus far?
Well, I have something interesting, Deb. I actually just got a call when I was on this from someone. She's like, oh, I saw your ad, which I haven't done any ads.
Okay.
She's like, oh, can you come take photos of my house? Because I want to list it. So FISBO, I'm like, okay, so it's ironic we're talking about this. I'm going to do a little packet and come over there and be like, okay, $100. I'll take some photos, whatever you want. But have you thought about, it's a long road to selling even right now. Have you thought about using a realtor for this? Or I understand wanting to save some money, but statistically, people that use a realtor get X% more, and it's much easier. You own a business. She said she owns a business. Okay, so that's a lot of work. Did you look into? Have you already went to entry only? Have you already got it on there? Where are you at? I'm going to try to get her.
So this is a very good discussion right here. So you got a call, she saw some ads somewhere, so you're out there somewhere, you don't know where, but that's okay. And she says, come over here and I'm gonna pay you $100 to take photos of my house.
Mm-hmm. Which, I don't put out like, oh, I'm a photographer. I have like no photography stuff on there. I do know how to take photos and stuff, but
$100 is way too cheap. Anthony.
See, that's what I was wondering. 1,200 square foot, but I'm not like I don't have a photography business, so it's just going to be cash in hand. I'm like $100, and I'm not going to like edit them and stuff.
So what do you guys think? Roger, you're the co-host here. What do you think Anthony should do? Let's give some good advice. Or let me start back with Anthony. What do you think that seller, remember, it's a poker, we need to understand, and instead of going, sure, I'll be over, do we want to ask some more questions? What do you think?
Well, I probably should have asked her some more questions. I have like 20 Zooms. I got a Zoom on this old phone. I get too much stuff going on, and I'm on the phone with her, but I basically just push for the appointment. I'm like, let's do just an initial thing. You live in the town right next to me. I'll shoot over and we'll talk about it, and then we'll see, the home, and we'll see what we need to do. And she sounds like she's busy. She's like, oh, I do a business. I have to, the landscape, it's been so raining, all this stuff. So my thought is, once I get face to face, just be like, wow, you have a beautiful home. I definitely see, your timeline kind of now, but, I really think you should consider, using a realtor. I would love to list it for you. I'm a local professional. I live right down the road. You'd be one of my first clients. I can be here 100% of the time. I can be marketing in the area, and it's a great time to sell. You're going to get a lot more than you paid for it, judging by when you bought it. So there's really a lot of benefits, and I can help you on the back end. You said you wanted to move somewhere with more land. I could, maybe start looking for something like that for you.
Right.
Two birds, one stone. And
all right, awesome. This really is very timely, because we're going to move into like what's going on. What do you think, Roger?
Yeah, Deb, someone has their mute off and they're on the phone. Could you please mute? I can't find who it is.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was coming in from Anthony somehow. So like a feedback from somebody. So what do you think, Raj? Tell me what you think. I like Anthony's direction. Let's make the appointment. Let's get over there. What else do we want to do? Hope you're on mute, Raj.
Anthony, I think that you should kind of pretend like, or not pretend, act as if you're going over there and taking the pictures as part of the service that you offer as a realtor. Don't take the pictures for her and then try and sell yourself as a realtor. Just go over there, have like the appointment, and maybe say, oh, there's been a misunderstanding. I thought you wanted to talk about putting your house on the market, and I would bring up, photography would be part of that.
Mm.
So my thoughts around that is, so if you think about it and back yourself up, if I'm understanding this whole thing correctly, you got a random phone call from some sort of ad from a woman who wants photos taken of her home so she can list her home on her own. So what I would do is I would just take that from a perspective of, this is now a FISBO that I've got a lead on and I've got an appointment with to go preview and look at their home.
Yeah.
and grab a FSBO, for sale by owner script, and go in there and just perform the script for her, so to speak.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily get into taking photos unless that's part of your business. I would certainly try to influence her and sway her and come from contribution and assistance and help, and just suggest, I mean, I could take some photos, but that's not going to help you. What are you doing for marketing? I mean, you can have the best photos in
Yeah.
the world here, but what are you going to be doing for marketing after the fact? And when then wait for her response.
Yep.
And her response will be, well, I'm going to put a sign in the yard or whatever it might be, and just go into your presentation from that perspective on how you could help her, and say, my concern for you is you're going to have these photos, you're going to put these things out there, you're going to list your home. And my honest concern for you is somebody's going to come in here and give you an offer that may
Lowball.
not reflect the true value. I mean,
Yep.
I have access to all the MLS data. I'd love the opportunity to set up a time with you at a later date and sit down, go over the process, and walk you through a market analysis and show you what I can do to market your home. Because, on average, listing with a realtor, you're going to make much more money, and I'm going to be able to negotiate, take care of all the details, all the paperwork, handle all the showing requests, and just build your value through that conversation. And hopefully her head starts to spin,
Yeah, yeah.
And if she still wants to try on her own, okay, well, fair enough. I tell you what, why don't we do this? If you want to, I'll take the pictures, but remember that, you're not doing her service if you just take pictures and leave her on her own.
Yeah.
Say, I'll follow up with you in a couple of weeks and see where you're at after I don't know how you're listing this. Are you I don't volunteer that entry only,
Yeah,
let
yeah.
her tell you what her plan is. Most people, I'm going to put it on
Putting it on
Facebook, and I'm
Facebook.
going to tell my neighbors.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. We do that all the time. We still get bad leads, and it's a
Yeah.
waste of our time in a sense there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go from that.
Nina has her hand up.
Yeah, Nina, what do you got for a question or comment?
No, so I agree with Roger. The other thing, Anthony, is that you mentioned that you're going to tell her that it's your first transaction, which, is great, whatever. But if you tell her that I think that she's looking to you for photographs because, she's thinking that, okay, well, he must know which photographs would best suit for, to put online or whatever. So I don't know that I would say, if that is the case, I don't know that I would say that it's your first transaction. And again, like Roger says, like come to a place from, contribution. And if you kind of raise some questions to her, and I'm only saying this just because I had a very similar situation, but asking questions like, where are you going to go from this? Like, so when your house sells, what are you going to do? Like, do you already have a place to go to? Like, what is your backup? Because maybe she needs some kind of, clause or whatever in the contract about, I don't know, pending,
Suitable
seller
housing.
finding suitable housing or whatever. I don't know. I'm just like, throwing out some stuff that, gave my seller, just raised some doubt in her mind about how am I going to vet these offers, like things like that. So, I mean, maybe she does have experience. Maybe has sold her own home in the past. Maybe she, I don't know. I mean, maybe you could just ask her a bunch of questions that start to give her cause about listing her own home in
Right.
the market, especially in this market where, people are getting multiple offers, they are going over asking, but does she know how to vet these buyers?
Right.
So
we're going, so essentially, and that's exactly right, Nina. So Anthony, just like Roger said, he's going to a for sale by owner appointment. Right?
Right.
So this person, and now we have to talk about why isn't she listing the property? So we're getting into that listing appointment with objections, whether it's a for sale by owner or a person who does want to sell their house with an agent, what kind of objections might Anthony, so let me back up a little. Do you think Anthony should put together a little CMA on her house and have it in his bag, but not pull it out?
I would.
All
What do you
right.
guys,
Deb, I just want to let you know Trevor has his hand up.
Trevor, what you got? Ooh, there's a mute on his thing. Trevor,
I would kind of go in there and remind her that you're not a professional photographer. And,
Yeah.
and first of all, one of the biggest mistakes that most FSBOs make is taking their own photos with the iPhone and putting them on. And that's one of the most harmful things you can start doing. And there's a million other reasons why. I can already tell that you're not to put, to judge what you're doing, but you're kind of off to a bad start here. And I think you need to hire me. It's going to be so much easier. There's many things that are going to come up. You're already making a mistake here by trying to get me to take pictures for you, which I don't mind doing, but it's not going to look professional. It's going to hurt you. And I think, why don't we just talk about why you should hire me right now? And then we can make that decision at the end and find out why you don't want to just hire a realtor.
right.
That
Go
seems a
ahead.
little aggressive, but I'm curious, do we have any stats on FSBOs and how long they're on the market, or what the average is for price over asking or anything like that? Or is that not available because they're not really on the market in a sense, and no one's reporting that info?
Yeah, it's unfortunate because the only data, the real data we have is based on MLS listings. I don't know if there's anywhere out there that you can find that information. So, but yeah, I know. I'm sure there is. If you did a little Google, he might be able to find something for sure.
Go ahead and Google that question.
Yeah, I would.
There's a ton of FSBO scripts.
Yeah.
I know in bold, they go over them. I can look around real quick and see if I can find.
There's definitely one or two in the script book that you all have as part of the Ignite package. So I think for Anthony, I think he needs to ask a lot of questions, dial this lady down a little bit, right? And just say, hey, thanks so much. And it's right in there. Thanks so much for having me come over. Tell me a little bit about what you're doing. And then listen to what she says. And, hey, you called a real estate agent, so you know that
She's
we did
looking for
something
help.
right. Pardon me?
She's looking for help.
She's looking for help, and you want to bring value to her. And you're an agent, you know what you're doing, you have all the information. Why doesn't, I guess the question is, how come she doesn't did you ask her any reason you're not gonna, what did she say?
She was kind of weird in the phone. She seemed very busy. She's like, oh, my husband works from home, his leg. She's telling me all the stuff going on. Business owner. She also said something about staging, that I don't know if she owns a staging company, or so she's probably thinking, when I heard staging, I'm like, okay, she does staging. So she's like, why am I going to pay a realtor? I'll just get some guy to take photos. I don't know how she found, I don't know. But
So,
that's
Anthony,
exactly gonna.
it sounds to me like you need to drill down on her. If she's, it's puzzling to me that a stager, if that's the case, wouldn't know a professional photographer.
A million
know the
realtors.
value of those
Yeah.
photos. So it could be just somebody who's just very chaotic in their thinking.
Yeah.
You as the professional real estate agent have to step in, lean in, using your questions, right? And using the toolkit, the client qualifier questions. What's going on here? Let me unpack this box a little bit here. I'm kind of confused why you're calling me. How'd you find my name?
Yeah.
Why are you calling me for photos? Right. And you're going to discover more information by asking those open-ended questions. And that will take you down a course, and you'll discover what's really going on. You could just be dealing with a somebody who's not got all their faculties. I don't know.
Yeah, I might pull the deed and make sure you're dealing with the owner of the property.
Yeah.
Don't run over there and waste your time.
Give me the address too. So that's after this, I gotta dive into
So
that.
let's do a little homework before going over. And I appreciate your motivation. And I think at the end of the day, if you get to the bottom of it and really find out what her motivation is, let's make sure you are working with the seller of the owner of the home.
Yep, Let's she
make
did,
sure.
she did say she needed more space, like animals or something, and she was saying like she had chickens and her yard was a mess, so kind of like, okay, she's probably staying in New Hampshire. You know, I assume she's staying in New Hampshire. She's looking for more space. You know, she probably has something in mind if she's, you know, I've seen some, you know, pretty good value homes in the area, especially in like Epping. I've seen these awesome deals. She's probably thinking, oh, we got some equity in this. Let's kind of move up a little bit size wise and leave Seabrook, go to, you know, Seabrook West or whatever. And,
Right.
you know,
You're making a lot of assumptions.
yes.
Okay, let's go over there with like 5 or 6 or 7 questions.
Mhm.
Because it sounds like you might need to keep her on track.
Yep.
Okay, you know, let's confirm that she's the owner of the property, and we're gonna do the whole who, what, when, where, and why. You know,
And how are you planning on marketing this house?
where you going? Where are you going?
It's
Do
a
you have
simple
enough money to
quiz,
buy
though.
some, you know?
Yeah.
So who are the decision makers? What are your plans? When is this all happening and why are you going? Sounds like she's told you a lot of the whys already, and how. If you're going to sell your home, what is your equity? How much is it going to cost you? Do you have enough money to go somewhere? Or is this a crash and burn? Something's going down and she's just going to sell the house and she needs you to take photos. So until you really go and have some very clear questions with her, I think we don't know anything. But I would say let's not speculate. Let's ask the questions. What other questions might he ask, guys? And then we'll move on a little bit to the listing appointment and the walking through of the home.
You could,
I
what
agree.
about this approach?
Yeah.
Going in there and taking the photos and saying, well, these are not the photos that I'm going to use to list your property, just to get an idea what it looks like. And then we'll figure out what to set the price at. So
Right.
you almost are assuming that she's hiring you and then kind of see what she says.
Yeah, so they call that an assumptive close.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, assuming that you're going to get the listing, which you really should get that listing. Sounds like that person needs some help and
Yeah.
you might just be the perfect person to get it. What are the objections? And that's actually the point of where we're going here in the program. You've got your listing presentation printed up all nice. You've done a little CMA on the property. You know kind of what it's worth when you get there. So what do we do when they have some objections, and what now I'm on the script book on page 10. If you want to go to that, which shows I'm on the basic script book, and on, wait a minute
So
here.
they're in their participants guide, 8 and 9 is where the scripts are.
Okay.
For this.
So what kind of objections, and we're going to use Anthony as example, what objections do you think, if he goes, you know what, I'd love to work with you, and you know, he gets the full story and she wants to do it for sale by owner, what objection is probably going to be on there? What do you guys think?
She wants to save some money on commission or whatever. And, you know, oh, I'm a stager. I know realtors. So, you know, I want to save some money. I can do it myself.
All right, so let's script that out a little bit. Who wants to work with Anthony on this and be this woman who, you know, who wants to do that? Anybody want to volunteer and be a seller lady who's going to try, hopefully the seller wants to sell her house and he's going to come over, and let's get him a little bit comfortable with what he's going to do, because this does happen. And again, it's really a for sale by owner. It's all the same story. She sounds a little scattered, but you're going to dial her down. Who was that?
Nina, I'll do it.
Nina. All right, Nina. So Anthony, you're going to go to the house, knock, knock, knock. Nina's going to answer. Let's see what, okay, go ahead.
You're up, Nina.
Okay,
Knock,
I didn't hear my knock.
Knock, knock, knock.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, hi, Anthony.
How's it
Thanks for
going,
coming
miss?
over.
How you doing today? Hello, hello.
Anthony, I'm
Hello.
having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Okay. Hi, how you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for coming by.
No problem, no problem. I got all my camera equipment in the bag, but you know, I know you're really busy, but I wanted to kind of assess, you know, what was going on with your whole timeline on this. And, you know, I know you saw my ad. I am a realtor. I don't know where you saw the photographer thing, and I'd love to help you out with that. But it got me thinking, have you thought about
Oh,
all
wait
these
a
other
second.
hurdles
I'm
with
sorry. So
listing your
I'm
home?
sorry. Hold on. So you're not a photographer?
I do photography in my business if I have to, but I usually hire out a professional when I take a listing. And
Oh,
that comes out of my budget just because, I like to have it look as good as possible, better equipment.
okay. So I guess I misunderstood. I'm sorry. Gee, I wish you had told me that before.
Yeah, well, I did mention that I am a realtor, but I could help you out with those photos. But really what I wanted to do, I wanted to set something
Oh.
up and assess, what your plans were. And if you're aware of how the market's moving right now with,
I'm
finding
sorry,
a good
Anthony,
buyer,
I was
everyone.
just looking for a photographer. I don't know that I want to work with a realtor. It's just, in this market, I think that, it seems like houses are just
Yeah,
flying.
they're selling themselves kind of thing. And I totally understand that. You did mention you were in business and you seemed kind of busy on the phone, and your availability, you said, was only like, a couple hours in the morning on Thursday. I just hope you're aware of how many offers you may receive, and that a lot of them may seem qualified, but they may not be qualified. And
Well,
it's a lot of work, and I'd love to help you out and save your time. If you're not interested, I mean, obviously you're in the business, you're aware of what we do, and the services we provide, but I just, I can help you out with these photos. And if not, I'd love to help you sell your home. And, historically, we actually can help people get more than their list price. Usually FISBOs people.
yeah, but then by
instantly
the time I pay your
money.
commission and all that, like, what is your commission?
My commission, we can discuss that. I generally, charge a fair commission with what the market's, returning. And usually like I said, with a realtor, people are getting, on average, like 13% higher than they would if they listed on their own. So that more than covers my commission, and then some. And also my commission's a marketing tool, because the buyer, when I put this in the MLS, the buyer's going to see, okay, Helena's house is offering a 2% buyer commission or a 3% buyer commission. So I'm going to try to bring my family here. The buyer agent's thinking this, as opposed to this FISBO that isn't offering any commission, or maybe they are offering a commission, but they don't have a realtor representing them. So they're thinking the negotiations may be a little more difficult. And, I am a part of Keller Williams, and we have, so many resources at our disposal that, I just think, it's an invaluable resource for you. And, 6% is a lot, but right now, with the way the market has been, the prices of homes, you got to take into account your time and your plan for the next step. Have you thought about where you're going to go once you
You know
do
what? I
sell
think I'm
your
going to try this on my own, because let's just see where it goes on my own. I mean, I really was just looking for a photographer, and yeah, I thought that, I would just get a photographer in and I would just put it on, Craigslist, or, maybe even, I hear that I can just
So you're
purchase an
marketing, you're
MLS
gonna
number.
market it mostly on like Craigslist and maybe
Can I
Facebook.
cut in here for a minute?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yep.
Okay.
Nina, you're awesome, and Anthony, you're awesome. But go ahead, Roger.
Right. Nina, you're playing the part well.
Yeah, she's
Anthony,
doing.
you're doing a great job. You're attempting, right?
Mhm.
But what did it sound like to me from an outside, and what it started to become is an argument,
Mm.
right? Because what you're doing is you're using a lot of pushiness. You're telling her what she's doing wrong constantly, consistently, and all you need to do is get to the point. Set up an appointment. Nina, I'd love to help you out here. I apologize. I didn't realize that you thought I was a photographer. Enough said in that respect. I am a full service real estate agent. I'd love to get together with you, go over the process from soup to nuts, let you know it's a 20 to 25 minute conversation that we can have, and I'll walk you through the process. I'll let you know what we'll do, including photos, and I generally hire a professional to do my photos. Why I would offer to sell, and staging, although you mentioned you do staging, you may not need that, but I'd love the opportunity to go through that with you and let you know, if I can help you out. And at the end of the day, if I can't help you out, no harm, no foul.
Right.
What
I
do you
agree
think
with
about
that
Nina?
feedback.
If we get together next Tuesday or Thursday, or I can do it this afternoon, I have some time.
Right, and he's already brought some information with him in terms of what he thinks the value of the home is. So he really could say, you know what do you, so again, you want to ask more questions than, right? What other thoughts do people have? We're in a safe place here. We want to help and get everybody, we want him to get this listing. If this
I would
lady's- Go ahead.
suggest that you bring a sign-in sheet. Say, oh, I have some materials for
Yeah.
you. Bring a simple sign-in sheet. You have to tread lightly around these for sale by owners.
Mm,
First of all, you don't even know if it's a safe situation.
yeah.
You know, you can't let your enthusiasm and excitement over getting a listing distort, you know, you have to stay grounded. So I would bring a sign-in sheet and maybe safe ways. There's articles on safe ways to conduct an open house,
Yeah.
because that will instill a little bit of fear into her thoughts, like, oh, I have to be safe. That's right.
Yeah.
And so I'd go at it like that. Oh, let me bring some material to you, and don't be going for the kill right away.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I like that idea, Janet. And for sale by owners do love getting like freebies from real estate agents. And if you come over with a little, little value for them, and, here's some things that, I've given other for sale by owners, and, Nina, you have some comment as the lady. What do you have a question or some feedback, good feedback for us?
So I mean, just maybe if if Anthony, like listening more and asking more, or just showing his value, I think, or even just like showing that Anthony came more prepared, I guess, other than saying, oh, I have my camera stuff in my bag, like just, in conversation that, I looked at public records and, or just having some more
Data.
information, or,
Yes.
just, I don't know, I guess maybe more that like he did some homework. And like you said, I think it sounded more like an argument that we were having than
I know,
anything
Nina, you were
else.
frying me on there. I was like,
Well,
oh, no.
Nina was
No.
playing the role, and that's what and this lady might be great when you get there one-on-one.
Right. And Nina brought up a valid point, and Anthony, just constructive criticism.
Mhm.
When we're listening, if we're selling or trying to persuade, we're not listening.
Yeah.
It's more important that, Nina, tell me more about that. What's going on here? What are you trying to accomplish? What's your major goal here?
Yeah.
I want to mention that Jim Gibbons put some data in the chat box that might be helpful for
Ooh.
FISBO.
Oh,
Jim-
all right, cool. Grab that, Anthony. Everybody grab that, because that is something it's great to have in your toolbox.
And
If me and
something
Nina
else,
kept
like
going, I
even
wanna-
if it all crashes and burns, right, at the end, I'm not saying it's going to, that's not my intent here. But if there's total pushback and you can't break through the mindset of you're going to help her and you're going to be able to do it better than she's going to be able to do it, obviously you are. At the very end, say, listen, houses on the market around here are selling within X, Y, and Z, whatever that is for your marketplace. Can I give you a call back in that time frame to see where you are in your process?
Oh, good point, Jim. I like that.
Because she's not even going to have her pictures on Facebook by then, or wherever she's going to do it. And you,
That's a good point. If it's 6 days to offer, from live to offer, call her and say that. Hey, usually we see it go under agreement in about 6 days. Hopefully that all works out great for you. Yeah, always come from contribution, because in offering value and offering to help. And, it's an interesting call, but I really want to thank Anthony for being, jumping right into scripts. Not everybody loves doing that. Nina was awesome at the tough lady there, because that people, they have objections. They don't want to pay, and they don't, they want you to reduce your commission. All of these things are all in the script book, and you guys must really learn how to handle that. So I want to thank you guys for that.
Well,
So
Hey, so
that's-
real quick, what I would have loved to, where I wanted to go with Nina is eventually getting to the point, you know, how did you find me and why did you call me? What was your thought? Because if you're in the staging business, you seem like you really want to list it on your own. You're very, you know, vocal about that. But, you know, why were you looking for help and, you know, with photography or whatever? You just don't have a camera, or, you know, are you starting to feel a little bit overwhelmed with the whole process? Like, you know, I
Anthony.
know you're in the business and you stage homes
Anthony,
every day. Hold on a sec.
Anthony,
Can I finish?
yeah, go ahead.
Or, okay.
can I just say
So-
something? So if you maybe had started the conversation with me in that way, like more as like a friendly kind of, you know, like coming to me more of like, oh, you know, asking more questions about me and the fact that, you know, I'm in the staging business or whatever. Oh, that's great. Yeah, we sometimes use stagers or whatever, and just had more of a friendly conversation as opposed to like, hey, you know what? You called me as a photographer. I'm a realtor. I want to sell your house. You know, it just, I think just being more of like having a conversation as maybe more like a friend, or, you know, or just trying to get to know.
I came in too salesy though. You know, if you remember, I kind of said, hey, you know, kind of greeting, what's up? I got the camera stuff and the thing. And I just wanted to make sure you were aware, and then just the facts, and then see what her objection was. Obviously she's going to say, you know, I'm a stage or whatever. I sell it myself. And then I start going to the discovery of, okay, well, how did you find me? Why were you looking for help? Is it a little bit overwhelming? I know you said, you know, you have a business, and, you know, obviously I live local and I'd love to help you out when I can. Here's, you know, the roadmap. I can give you this roadmap of a new listing checklist. Have you talked to X, Y, and Z? Have you looked at this? Have you run a comp on your house to see, you know, what other homes are getting for, you know, your square footage in your area and this and that? And have you found somewhere that you want to go if you happen to sell it? Like if you sell it in a week, do you know what you're going to do in the back end? You know, are you, you know, going to be living in a hotel for a couple months? And, you know, it's a
Guys,
tough market. So I'd love to offer my services.
Right.
But I can take those photos for you and follow up with you in a couple weeks if that, you know, whatever you want to do. You know, I live right next door, and, you know, I just like to help you out and all that stuff.
Right. All right. So, well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I think I would be, yeah, just like we said, just be prepared that, read that FSBO script so you really know how to move the conversation forward. She may just be out there and that's the way she is, and that's okay. Not everybody is, you know, ready to work with an agent, but obviously you have everything that you need to help her get where she wants to go. Maybe start at the end. Where do you want to go? And work your way backwards. What is your end goal? And is there any way I can help you from here to there? And then see what she says, and just move from there. So that's an interesting scenario, and that does come up. But what we hopefully have is more people that really call you and say, hey, I got your name from Trevor. I heard you were a great agent, and, you know, can you come over tomorrow afternoon at 2 and let's, you know, kind of thing. So that's where you move into the more traditional listing presentation. And has anybody here, I don't know if I asked this already, has anybody really done a listing presentation yet ever? I know, who was it that, I don't know if she's still here, that had 8 listings?
Oh, that's Courtney.
Yeah. So were they listings or buyers? Is she still here?
I've had a listing presentation.
Okay, and can you walk us through how that went? Like, for example, let's get to some basics of the listing presentation. Maybe you can do a little, I'm gonna do a little screen share here and see where we're at on the program here, because we really only have about a half hour. What are you guys seeing here?
Let's see.
Home walkthrough.
All right, so let's get into the like day-to-day working of, we've got a call, we've reached out, we've met somebody at a party or somewhere at school or with the kids at a soccer game. and they start, you have a conversation and somebody really does need to make a decision about moving forward and selling their home, they want to move back down to Boston, and you're going over to their house at noon. So you're prepared, you've got your listing presentation looking nice. You've done a nice CMA on basically what you think the house is worth. It's just a snapshot of today's market, and that's what you're going, hey, here's my snapshot. So what do you do when you get to the house? What is your process? Can you share with us that on your sort of home walkthrough and when you get to the appointment?
So for me, are you asking me? Okay.
Yes,
So
I'd like to hear your experience, and we can, so people can kind of know that feeling. How does it go? And then we'll maybe a couple of, the seasoned agents can say how they do their process, but go ahead, Nina.
Well, maybe mine's not a good example, because with mine, it was it had been listed last year. And so I found it on the expired. And so it actually wasn't, it hadn't expired yet, but they took it off the market. So I called them. I was more, again, of a conversation that I had for them. And I asked them if they could share with me what, why they chose to take it off the market, what happened, and just actually more listen to them and what they had to say. And then I asked them if, they could give me some, I wanted to know what they liked about their agent and what they, what they think they could have done better, the agent could have done better. And so we had that whole conversation. She told me that the contract hadn't expired, but they wanted it off the market because of the holidays. And it was just too disruptive. They had 2 little kids. So I asked them if they would give me the opportunity to meet with them once it went off, once they no longer were were within the contract. So I asked them if I could just touch base with them, after the holidays or whatever. And they said yes. So I did reach out to them after the holidays. They said, maybe we could talk again in February. So I didn't want to bother them. But I did reach out to them in February and whatever. Anyway, so it was, again, more of a conversation. I told them I would try to make it as, least disruptive as possible, because they did have 2 little kids. They had a dog. It was more of just like a friendly conversation. And I did bring a market analysis, but I said when it came time, because they didn't want to list until like March or April, I think it was. March or whatever. So I said when it came time, I would do another comparative market analysis, just so that it's more current and up to date with, whatever it is that they were going to be listing. So, I mean, and we went, I just let them do a lot of talking. I asked them a lot of questions. It was like very informal. I did have everything prepared with me. I never really took it out because the conversation just kept flowing.
Good.
So again, it's not a good example.
Well,
I beg to differ. I think it's a
fantastic example. Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of it happens that way. It's in the key words you use there, you were prepared, you had it in your bag, you were ready to go, but you listened to the client say, you gave them what they needed, and what they wanted. They heard everything. You asked appropriate questions in the beginning, you listened to them, and they were ready at the end of the day. They didn't need to hear all the bells and whistles.
No, they already heard it already.
They were somebody they know, they trusted, they had rapport. You showed and demonstrated confidence in conversation. You never had to show.
I don't know that I was confident at all. Like, I was so nervous.
Well, they didn't know it. They
don't know that.
They don't.
That's only going on in our heads.
Right. If you're there and you're an agent and you're licensed and you're with a big, they're going to just think you know what you're doing. It's only us that don't think we know what we're doing. So I agree. I think that sounds like it went very organically, and sounds to me like you picked up on cues that they wanted to talk. they've already been through the thing. They had it listed, they know the drill. For some reason it didn't work. I suspect probably it was price. That's always the thing.
Actually, we listed it higher than it was.
Awesome, awesome.
So-
Maybe just, sometimes it just isn't the right fit and that's
Well,
okay.
do you want to hear something funny? I think the
Yeah.
biggest thing and the best comment that we got was, or when we were showing, is they had this terrible, terrible light fixture that as you went into the house, and I staged the house,
Yeah,
but when you went into the house, they had like this crazy chandelier on like this little bungalow thing. And, you know, I swear that's what sold the house. Was I changed the light fixture. I had my husband change the pendant, and it was just, it's like the littlest things that, and actually, Anthony, you know, you might want to compliment this woman about like, oh, this is so great that you know, stage, you know, you're a home stager, because that really, you know, helps in showing the home and its best features. And sometimes, you know, as you know, as such great taste that, you know, to just complimenting
yes,
her.
you might need a little bit of pat on the back, you know, I
Yeah,
don't
like
know.
flattering her, you know, just say, because sometimes, you know, people think that their house is perfect, but, you know, and it is if they're living in it, but it might be just a little bit, you know, maybe they just need to eliminate a few pieces or whatever. I think just compliment her or
So
whatever.
that sounds good.
Why-
So you got the listing and you sold it for more money and everything was fantastic, right?
Yeah, and then they actually hired me to be their buyer's agent. So,
Oh, perfect. And that's the real key. So you're off to a really, really good experience here and a good, you know, a good future in your real estate business, because that's it. If you have a listing and they want to work, it means you're doing everything as much as you can right. And even though internally you're nervous and all of that good stuff, but you're doing the right thing and you're being genuine and you're listening. And that's really a super important part. So for
no, I think
generally,
I have a lot to learn. And I think that, you know, taking Ignite is, you know, I don't know about anybody else, but I think that this is definitely something that before we even get started, we should be required to take Ignite.
well, most offices do kind of require it. I mean, why not? Who doesn't want to learn the basics? So let's, as we move forward here, we've got a little about 20, almost a half hour to go. I want to go through really the actual sort of, what do we do? How do we really get, what do we do? We knock on the door, we walk in. What do we do when we walk in the door? So let's talk about that just a little bit. Does everybody want to know a little sort of basic how-tos kind of thing? Just, you know, to get the lay of the land a little bit. So obviously we've done our homework, we've driven by the whole deal. So we arrive at the house. When do we arrive? On time or early or late?
Early.
Early. On 10 minutes early is on time is late, and late is don't even get there. So we're going to get there early. We're going to knock on the door. We're going to not be, you know, we're going to give it a little bit of space, and then we're going to arrive at the home. And it's really important to establish yourself as a knowledgeable professional really right away. You're going to greet these potential clients and thank them obviously for the opportunity, and ask them if you can like leave your things in the, because they don't know, they want you to tell them what to do, you know. And sometimes they'll even say, what do you want to do? You want to look around? You want to sit? You know, most everybody likes their kitchen. That's the heart of the home, as we know. So typically we want to have a nice space to talk, and it's just sort of almost a natural thing to like, let's go in the kitchen, kind of sit down and have a bit of a chat. And why do you think we want to go to the kitchen to start? Thoughts?
Well, a kitchen's a comfortable place to sit around and talk and have coffee, and people feel comfortable meeting in a kitchen, not just with family, but with pretty much anybody probably.
Yeah. And typically at a kitchen table, you're sort of all at eye level. You don't want to be sitting on a couch hunched over. Women don't like sitting on a couch hunched over. They, people like to be sitting up straight. And it's where they have had most of their important talks in their life, whether it's with their spouse, their kids, their parent, whatever it is, that's the important piece. So you usually establish sort of ground zero, because at the end of the day, before noon here, we want to walk out with a listing contract. So this is how it's going to be. You want to like really establish it. That's their comfort zone. Typically you might see on the counter, there's a little pot of tea going and some nice cup. Somebody went to the trouble to dig out their stuff. So if they offer you something, take it, because they might be waiting, oh, I'm going to go get my nice stuff and get it, so be aware of that. You're going to sit and basically kind of just do that sort of thing. Say, hey, what I'm typically going to do, we're going to do a little walkthrough and get further information of what your plans are. We're going to talk about my marketing plan. We're going to go over the CMA, and we're going to, kind of go through that conversation. And we're going to take a walkthrough. Some agents like to walk through alone. I like to have the sellers come with me, and I take a lot of notes. And you're seeing upside down and inside out, because you want to make comments on things. They're going to be talking about this and that, but you need to separate yourself a little bit and take notes as to what you're seeing that might be of concern. Maybe like Nina says, is some crazy light fixture that's super distracting, or paintings that are really bad, or it smells bad. Or, and on your notes, have some coding, some codes for yourself to know that when you get back to the office, you might need to make some commentary about some green room, or, that kind of thing. So you want to make sure that you're taking a moment to look over the home. And there is something called a home walkthrough survey, so you can look into that. That's also on there. And then typically after you go through the property and make all of your notes, I usually land back up in the kitchen and really kind of review everything. And then we move forward to sort of the closing of the closing of the deal. So any other comments on that for those who have done, does anybody else have some comment on their process?
I want to say that I think it's really important that you be careful not to give the ranch away. I know a lot of times I walk in and I want to start talking about what they should do about staging and this and that. But until you have the commitment for the exclusive right to sell, you don't want to give them ideas, because they could be offended by your idea, number one. Or number two, they could be shopping for ideas.
Okay, I always go in assuming I'm getting the listing, So Roger, what do you do with your CMAs? How do you kind of do your listing presentation? Similar, or do you have a whole nother way?
No, so a lot of times it's a little combination. You guys had both great valid points. Keeping in mind, if we're at the listing presentation, we're going to go over staging, but we're not going to go into great detail, because we're going to certainly, after we agree to work together today, then I can schedule the stager and the photographer at that point. Are you guys ready to move forward here? All we got to do is take care of the paperwork. And that goes to what was stated earlier. And then also, assuming you're closing, you'll get into the details of staging at a later date. If they even need it. Some houses you might walk into and geez, you're looking around and you guys live this way,
Yeah.
It's
Some people do
it
have
goes back to
really
Nina's
houses.
point, flattering, complimenting the house.
Yeah.
You don't want to be poo-pooing on it. You just want to be making notes, because that will be part of your staging consultation. And that's part of after the listing presentation and after the exclusive right to list has been signed as well.
Mhm.
Because again, you don't want to, but at that point, you're going to ask them for that listing at the end of that meeting anyways.
Yeah. And we've got a great
You're gonna
script
discover
for
whether
that,
they're
which we'll
working with
get
you
at. Yeah.
or they're going to talk to other people. And then that's a simple objection handler going into that mode.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it sounds like we all kind of have the same rhythm here. You go in, you make nice, you've already talked to them, you kind of know them a bit. You do your tour of the home, making your secret notes about things that you're concerned about, paying attention to odors and ask the question, when was the last time you were in your attic? 20 years or, so we always want to make sure that we know what home inspectors look for. We know what we have to keep our eyes open for. So we want to make sure we're doing that. We land back in the kitchen and, okay, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do. And sometimes I come right in with let's talk about what we think the price should be. Would that be helpful? Do you have any sense on where you want to land? And some people can be very forthcoming. Yep, we want 950, or some people say, I don't know, you're the person. They know, they've looked it up on Zillow, they're looking around, but you're supposed to be the professional. So that's what I mean. You have to have some sense of where they're going to land. And if you get there and it's really in tough shape, then you're going to be on the low end. But if it's absolutely gorgeous and completely out of where you thought you were going to be, if it's that different, you may say, look, let's move forward, but I'm going to fine tune my price point here because the house is, just, I don't know, you're just going to have to say, we're going to have to find, because you're going to come in there with more of a snapshot of the market, because it's just today. We don't know what it's going to be like in 2 weeks, particularly in this market. So we want to, now we're starting to move into the closing of the appointment. And how do we want to, let's have a volunteer. We do have a script here. Maybe we can do a little screen share on that. So I'm going to do that. You guys, let me do a little screen share and see if I can't. I want to volunteer. What am I doing?
So in your participants guide, it's
in your participant guide on page 13, there's the closing the deal script.
There you go, 13.
Right there with a partner, or let's have a volunteer from the group because I think we ran late. I don't know. Let's ask for the business. It's okay to ask, hey, so who wants to volunteer to be the agent closing your deal?
I'll go.
All right. Who's that?
Anthony.
Anthony. All right. Here we go. Can you see the screen?
Anthony, you got to
yes.
face your computer and your microphone so we can hear you better.
Perfect.
Oh, hold
Yeah,
on.
good deal. Let's get these others. All right, so here's your script, Anthony. I'll be the lady. I'm going to be the person at the house that you've walked through.
You don't want Nina to do this?
Oh yeah, Nina. Why
No,
don't
I'm
you?
just teasing. I'm just kidding.
I know. No, I'm gonna be the person. I know Anthony. I'm not that lady. He's walked through my home. He showed me a CMA. He's got all his listing contracts and he's told me what he's going to do. Let's hear what you're going to say to me. Now this is the closing of the deal, Anthony. Go.
Ready? So do you want me to just kind of like read the script, or do you want me to kind of
Yeah.
like
Why don't you read the?
summarize it, or do you want me to?
No, I'd like you to read the script.
Okay. After studying the comparables, taking into account the unique characteristics of your home and its setting, and using my knowledge of the averages in your neighborhood, I have prepared my recommendation on selling your home. Remember that my primary goal is to net you as much money as possible. And I believe this pricing plan matched with my marketing plan will draw agents and buyers to your home and position it as a highly appealing and highly competitive property. After looking at everything I presented about condition and price, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with my price recommendation? And is this what you'd like to list your home for? Is this what you would like to net for your home? Are you ready to make a decision? Are you ready to make the decision to work with me?
Yep, I'd love to. Let's go for it.
All righty, great. Sounds like we've got a price and are ready to put a sign in the yard. I can come out tomorrow with my sign and let's do it. Let's get your house sold for as much as possible and as simple as possible. And
absolutely. And then what do you do, Anthony?
Well, then I assume I take out my handy dandy laptop and I have a sign the life away and make sure I do it right, which is
so. Remember, guys, good job, Anthony. Remember, guys, these scripts were written by people who have years and years of experience. It wasn't just one person whipping up a script. Somebody went through and people spent a long time. So this is a fantastic script. Hey, based on everything I've brought you in the price in my marketing plan, are you ready to put me to work for you? If so, here's my paperwork. How does everybody feel about that particular closing technique?
Sounds good.
Do not be afraid to ask, say, put me to work. I will, and you don't have to go off. It's perfect the way it is. Any comments on that?
Right, so I would just meant to piggyback on what you said. At that point, you're not selling anymore. You're not trying to persuade anymore. You're not trying to influence anymore. You're just asking, hey, Anthony, you want to put me to work, and we'll get started tomorrow. I just
Yeah.
need you to sign this paperwork. We'll get the stager scheduled, and the photography will get done shortly thereafter, and we're off and running to get you to your goal.
Absolutely.
And then wait for their response.
Where
Right.
did you find that script? I'm looking for
It's
it.
in the toolkit. It's in your participant guide. It's on page, what did we say, 13?
I
It's,
thought you said 13, but it could
Oh,
be-
okay, because I
yeah.
thought it said 6. All right, thank you.
yeah, no, page 13. I love that script. If you went with several seasoned agents, that's another thing. Ask one of the seasoned agents if you can tag along with them and watch them do a CMA. You know, that's okay too, because I guarantee they're going to say those words. I'm not guarantee, but very likely that's a very simple closing thing. Hey, you know, if you've given them what you need, they really don't need to run around and and they don't want to anyways. They don't want to call 20 other people. What else do we have for thoughts? Go ahead, Roger.
Let's ask Anthony. Anthony, when you read that script, right? And just for learning purposes, how did you feel at the end of that? It kept you on track and it got you to the point. And at what point did you realize, hey, wait a minute, I just asked her for the deal and I'm going to get a yes or no at this point?
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it. I mean, obviously in real life, I think you'd kind of go more into, you'd be using the real situation. Like, how do you feel about pricing it here? And what I explained to you about,
Well, that,
competitively pricing it.
right.
I like the idea of it.
That closing script,
You've already done that.
you've already done all that. Remember, that closing script is a segment of, and it's the ending. It's the closing. We're done. A, B, C. Always be closing. So you're closing with soft closes in your listing presentation. For example, you just mentioned, so what do you think about the price? Are we agreeable on the price? And they go, yeah, I got no problem with that. Great. I haven't asked. That's not a closing. That's just closing on that price. What do you think about the staging recommendations I've given you? Agreeable there too? Yes, no, maybe. And then you'll have that discussion at that point in the presentation. And then we've done all that. And basically you wrapped up in that. If you think about what you just said in that script, you wrapped all those items up in a nice little bow and said, based on what you said earlier, you said, yes, 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 yes. You ready to put me to work and get started? Just got to fill out the paperwork here. It's a safe island. Now they know. Wow.
You
Oh,
don't
I
need
know
to
what's
make it more
next.
complicated.
Yep.
Right, you have already given them what they've asked you for. They're agreeing to things. Yes, that pricing conversation could get longer. Your commission thing could get longer, but once you're done, it's okay. Now let me, based on all this information, let me go to work for you. They're probably ready for you to go in, they're ready too. They're ready to move on with their day. They're feeling very relieved that they've made a decision. Now it's your job to do what you say you're gonna do, right? So let's have some other feedback on that closing paragraph.
So one thing that might help getting to that point and make it not such a big deal that, oh, it's time for a closing, is something that I picked up from Sandler Sales a long time ago. And Deb, when you were talking about when you first get there and you talk about what the meeting's going to entail, I'm going to walk through the house. I'm going to give you some comparisons, price comparisons, let you know how I feel about staging, open houses, whatever. In your opening statement, then you say, at the end, you're going to think, I really just don't want to do business with Jim at all, or we're going to agree to do business together. You have a problem letting me know which end of the spectrum you fall on, or you can make it sound a little better. And everyone always says, no problem. So then when you get to that part at the end, you can just say, earlier I mentioned that, if you liked what I had to say, and then you can go into that closing part.
Yeah.
So
right.
You've already told them, this is why I'm here.
Right. Your This whole process is leading to this piece right here. And there's something in teaching, I don't know if any of you guys are in teaching at all, but students want structure, right? And a listing appointment, you're the teacher, you're the one who's creating the structure, and this is the end of the class, of saying, okay, we've discussed everything, now it's time to go forward, and we're basically going to close the deal, and which is only the beginning of the work for you, by the way. Right, you got a lot of work to do after the fact. So that's why the better prepared you are, the more likely you're going to walk away with a listing. Okay, and that's what our goal is for you. So let's just get back real quick to our little screen share, and we're pretty much ready to wrap up. Oops.
So we got,
that's not-
Deb, just for an FYI, we got about 10 minutes.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so okay, so we closed the deal. Anthony did really well with his paragraph. I think the more and more you certainly study that, the better off you will be in terms of getting where you want to be. So you might want to write some notes here. Remember I said you're gonna, in the beginning, whenever you go to a class and you learn a million things or a bunch of things, what 3 things are you going to act on? What things are you going to need some like little coaching, maybe help from somebody in the office, or what things do you like need to legit go to some training? Okay, so let's think about everything you've learned today, and I hope this was helpful. It's very hard, but I think we did pretty well. So let's talk a little recap here. I want to get some feedback, like let's hear some, like a little feedback. How has your thinking changed regarding listing presentations, and what ideas or mindset things were new to you? Anybody? Let's get a couple of quick answers on each of these questions. How has your thinking changed?
I think for me, it's basically don't overthink it, keep it on point but simple, and just spend as much time as possible listening. Let them hire you basically just by listening to what they say and either agreeing with them or offering the right suggestions. Let them do all the dirty work and you'll come out looking pretty good.
Absolutely. Anybody else? How has your thinking changed? What new mindsets do you have?
So something that I kind of took away is up to this point, most of our script practice has been like, hey, I'm a new agent, and then go through the Ford thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I kind of liked how today we were able to look at the different scripts where we're talking to somebody and they're disagreeing with us, or they're posing these questions or concerns. And it's, just kind of changes things up, makes you think a little bit more about the scripting and the importance of it.
Yeah, it does. And people fight it, but it's really designed to help you it helps you think better because you're not trying to think, and it helps you listen better, and it helps you get they're all designed to get to a point. They're all designed to get to the next level. So thank you, Noah, for that. One more, how has your thinking changed? Oops, Jim, I can't hear you.
Sorry. You put a graph up about where leads come from, and I think it was only 4% came from internet. And prior to this, there's in some of our courses, I don't know if it was here or white belt course or
Whoever, yeah.
somewhere else, we were talking about the importance of web leads and Facebook ads and all that. And although it may be important, it seems like referrals are and your sphere are something like what, 40% or something like that of your business.
It's no doubt the highest return on your investment. And all you need is a phone, and you're already paying for a phone. So in face-to-face, nose to nose, toes to toes, that's your highest return on your investment. So thank you for that. I think that's a very important point. And to your point, yeah, a lot of people are just really nice. It's not always negative feedback and things you have to overcome. So let's move a little bit. What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful for someone today in terms of the listing presentation? Tell me something that's made you feel differently. Any thoughts?
I
Trevor.
I like the command where you went in and built your presentation, your booklet
Yeah,
of a few pages. I thought that was that, we're not starting from scratch.
no, you don't need to.
Yeah.
Again, the people may not even look, they'll look at it later, maybe after you leave, but they're not going to get as jazzed about it as the amount of effort that you may put into it, for sure. So how will your behaviors be different going forward, and what actions will you take going forward? Is anybody gonna behave a little differently as you move forward based on this class?
I think one thing I would do is like, I normally wouldn't think to bring a CMA to the thing. I would think, okay, let's want to sit down together and look at, some comparables and do it with them or send it to them after like our first business meeting. But I guess, it does make sense to bring it and say, hey, look, this is, oh, you plan to get this and these are your competitors. If you price it too high, you're not going to, but I don't want to give them, any advice before they sign anything, as a FSBO or whatever.
Well,
So
it
that's
never
something-
hurts. Yep, never hurts to have it in your bag because you've got it, and you can just call it a snapshot. You've not been in the home. It's just rough idea, and people are cool with that. And if you just say it's a rough idea, they are going to think, then you can, if you really want to go more in depth, you've got your computer, you can get right into a hardcore CMA if that's really what they want to do. So I like that idea. I'm glad that you have that takeaway. Anybody else going to have a different action going forward?
I like how you said in this that, they don't realize how nervous you are.
Right.
And just to remember that.
Yep. Because guess what? They're probably a little nervous too. They may not have sold a house in 8 years or 10 or 20. They don't know they need you to know what you're doing. And even if you don't know what you're doing, you're probably in an office with 100 people that do. That you have a very, very deep bench. Most everybody at Keller Williams, you have a really deep bench that you can go to. Remember, if you don't know something, you know what? Let me check with my coach. Let me check with this guy in the office, been here 50 years, and I'll get back to you this afternoon with that. We still say that, even as people that have been around,
Can I share? Can I
Yes.
share one mistake that I made during a listing appointment?
Okay.
They asked me, how long have I been in real estate? So, I was with another agent. She was a newer agent as well. And, I kind of said, well, my background is, whatever. Anyway, so in my family, not necessarily as an agent, but anyways, so I was honest. I said, well, I just got my license a year ago. And what I really should have said is, oh, I should have avoided the question and or tried to avoid the question and said something like, oh, we have, I don't know, said something about how, the history of Keller Williams, or talked about something like that.
You're on a big team, girl. And by the way, in your script book and in your package, there's a whole thing about we need an agent with more experience. And a new agent can beat that out really quick by saying, I am surrounded by a lot of people with a lot of experience, but they're all very, very busy. I am not as much. So you're going to have 100% of me, So I think that's, and to be honest, Nina, like you said, you got to be honest too, and sometimes that's okay. People want somebody that's newer, as long as somebody's behind them that knows what they're doing. That's why the coaching program can be really good.
So Deb is a good question for that. And it's a kind of a stalling tactic question.
Yeah.
You mentioned you wanted to avoid the question, or your instincts was, oh my God, I don't know how to handle this.
Yeah.
And going right to what Deb just said, it would get you there. So if you just pose the question, they say, how long you been doing real estate? And your question coming back to them would be, well, I'm curious, tell me why is that important? How long I've been doing real estate?
Yeah.
And try to dig a little deeper to the motivation for that question. And they might say, well, they may not even know. They may, well, somebody told me I should ask that question. Well, that's a great point. That's a great question. And if I'm understanding you, so would you be uncomfortable if I was a newer agent? And they'd say, well, yeah, maybe. And then you'd say, is that the only reason? And then they say, yeah, maybe. And then you go into handling it, which is what Deb just did. Say, well, listen, I do have to be honest with you here. You know, I've been doing real estate, and I would go back to when I first thought about doing real estate, meaning getting my license. And if that was a year and a half ago, I've been doing real estate for about a year and a half now. And I've also aligned myself with an awesome agency with over 200 agents in my case. And some of those people have been doing it for 30, 35 years. And they are the people I'm going to lean on. Also, I'm in the coaching program as well. So I've got a coach that I've been working with that meets with me at a minimum of once a week. And I have his number or her number right here. And I can reach out to them if I have any questions that I can't handle. Having said that, is there anything else that would be concerning to you?
And you can also say, and I'm new and I'm excited and I have so much energy to give. I'll work really hard for you.
Right, right. So yeah, you'll move in. By the way, if you've been in real estate for 2 weeks, you're not new anymore, right? I mean, you're doing, you guys are doing everything you need to do to get yourselves to the next level. Last question, just real quick. What tools, models, or systems will you definitely implement as we move forward? And then I'll let you guys fly.
So I like the kind of the idea of, even if it's not a guaranteed thing, if you show up to your appointment, your listing appointment with all your paperwork, your comps, your whole presentation, even if you show up just to talk, it's smart. You have all that stuff right there. And as soon as they kind of show you that they're inclined to go with you and like, hey, let's move forward, you can say, hey, look, I got everything right here. Let's get this going. And
yeah.
I mean, something like that can just make them say, hey, wow, this guy was ready to rock and roll. Let's do this. And it just inspires confidence in you.
It absolutely does, Noah. I agree 100% with that for sure. So yeah, be prepared, just like the old whoever they are, be prepared. All right, so can you see my screen? Daily success habits. We know we're going to add 10 contacts every day. We're going to have 10 conversations every day. We can do 30 like Courtney. Don't forget the old handwritten note. And we want to preview as many houses as we can. We want to have been in every house. So when we have a CMA, we can say, yep, I've been in that house over on Pine Street. I've been in that house over on Park Street. That one had a terrible backyard. This one was gorgeous. This one's, so you're really knowledgeable, and that's really what you need to be. So every day we're going to practice our lead generating scripts. We're going to uncover motivations. We're going to identify objections. We're going to close deals, which I think we worked on really well today. We're going to speak in terms the customer understands. They don't always know what MLS means and CMAs and that kind of stuff. So remember, you want to speak in the customer, how they understand, and you're just always constantly going to be building confidence. And let's make sure that we're doing our script practice is every day. Find a script partner. Learn those words. It keeps you on track, and it helps the meeting not last for 4 hours. If you know what you're saying, you can be very, very efficient. Remember, people are busy. They've got stuff to do. Any last comments? I'm gonna let you guys hit the road.
Yeah, Deb, I would just say when people ask how long you've been in real estate, everyone's been in real estate since the day they bought their first house. They've been through the process.
Wonderful. Perfect. Yep. That's a good way to put it for sure. Any other last comments?
Remind me never to knock on Nina's door.
I know she's tough, man, but that was really good. I think that she was hammering him a little bit. And
I'm sorry. And I want to apologize, Anthony. I hope you didn't take it.
No,
I was just trying to play the devil's advocate.
Okay, if everybody's nice, we don't learn anything, and Anthony can handle it, and it's only to make everybody better. That's all we want to do, is make everybody the best agent they can be. And I'm dying to hear how he makes out on that. So
Yeah, Anthony, you'll have to let us all know.
Yeah, let us know for sure. And I appreciate all of you guys. Let's make sure we're taking action on particular items that we've learned today. Get that listing presentation under control, learn how to do a real quick CMA, and get out there and tear it out.
Thank you.
All right, awesome,
Thank you,
guys.
guys.
All right, see you tomorrow for buyer consultations, which is the same thing, but just working with buyers. So
Great class, Deb. Thank you.
if anybody needs me, I'm Deb Hayes at kw.com. Send me an email. I'd love to help you out. I've been in the business. See, I want to say not as long as I have been. I'm the other way around from you guys. I don't want to say, so I say over 25. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a great day. Thank you, Roger and Janet. It was awesome
Yeah.
working
you,
with
Deb.
you as
Thank you, Janet.
always. And okay, we'll talk to you later, guys. See you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.